Chapter 1075. Shinyushi changed into the waiter's clothes and ran to the second floor happily. This was a rare opportunity, so Shinyushi naturally cherished it. Although she also understood that it was most likely just her own illusion, and the probability of Yang Ming liking her was almost zero, she also wanted to fight for such an opportunity to try. Shinyushi was full of expectation and apprehension as she carried the dishes. She knocked on the door of the lilac private room. After hearing the person inside say, "Please come in," Shinyushi pushed open the door of the private room. She tried her best to put on the most satisfactory smile and walked in. She wanted to leave a deeper impression on Yang Ming. As soon as Shinyushi entered the private room, she felt something cold pressing against her forehead. Shinyushi was stunned. She looked up and saw a black-shirt macho man pointing a pistol at her head. Ah! Shinyushi was shocked. The dish in her hand fell to the ground. She was shocked. Hee hee. Old San smiled insidiously. He finally had a hostage in his hands. You let go of my boss. Otherwise, I will blow her head off. Although Shinyushi was scared, she recovered from the shock and began to look at the situation in the room. Yang Ming pointed a gun at the head of a black-shirt macho man, and her head was pointed at by another black-shirt macho man. Shinyushi was not stupid. She immediately understood. Before she came in, perhaps Yang Ming had the upper hand. However, when she came in and was taken hostage by the black-shirt macho man, the situation was reversed. Shinyushi was a little depressed. She came in at the wrong time. Not only did she not leave a good impression on Yang Ming, but she also helped him. As a result, it was good enough that Yang Ming did not hate her. She did not expect him to have a good impression of her. In addition to being depressed, Shinyushi was a little scared. Yang Ming had nothing to do with her, and Yang Ming was not a policeman. If Yang Ming did not care about her life or death, wouldn't she be miserable? Yang Ming didn't know what Shinyushi was thinking, and he didn't have the time to look at her expression. However, at this moment, Yang Ming was also somewhat conflicted. It was true that Shinyushi had nothing to do with him. However, Yang Ming was unwilling to see such an innocent young girl being snatched away by the black-shirt men. Yang Ming didn't doubt that old San would shoot. Since they could shoot at Sun Jia without hesitation, it proved that these people were desperados. Although Yang Ming was confident that he could kill third boss after killing first boss, this was not what Yang Ming wanted. Yang Ming was currently restraining boss. If he had the time to kill third bro, he was afraid that something would happen to boss. If he didn't kill third bro after killing boss, third bro might open fire. Even if he knocked boss unconscious, there was still time. Yang Ming couldn't guarantee that third bro wouldn't open fire during that time. Third bro had a gun in his hand. If Yang Ming didn't give him a fatal blow, who could guarantee that third bro wouldn't open fire? Therefore, Yang Ming was now in a dilemma. He didn't know what to do. Just as Yang Ming was hesitating, third bro spoke again. Why aren't you letting go of my boss? Otherwise, I will shoot her to death. Yang Ming frowned. When he saw third bro poking the muzzle against Shinyushi's head, he sighed helplessly. It seems that I can only make other plans in the future. It is impossible to capture these two guys alive today. Yang Ming finally nodded. Well, you go out of the private room first. I will take your boss out with you later. That won't work. What if I go out, but you don't go out with my boss? Third bro was not a fool. Perhaps Yang Ming didn't want a tragedy to happen in front of him, but after he went out, he could do whatever he wanted. Then, I will go out first. Yang Ming seemed to see through this person's mind. He smiled faintly, pointed the gun at the boss's head, pushed the door, and went out of the private room. Third bro pointed the gun at Shinyushi and followed Yang Ming out of the private room. Okay, you let go of my boss. Don't follow us. After leaving the private room, third bro said. Yang Ming followed third bro's words and slowly moved the gun away from the boss's head. Then, he said, you guys go. Don't hurt innocent people. Third bro nodded. Don't worry. Our goal is only the woman just now. It is useless for us to kill others. But, we will only let her go after we go out. Yang Ming didn't say anything, but he kept holding the gun in his hand, waiting for an opportunity. However, third bro was not stupid. He never moved the gun away from Shin Yushi's head and directly pushed her forward. Shin Yushi's mood at the moment was very complicated. When she saw that Yang Ming actually let go of the two gangsters for her, she couldn't help but feel a little smug. However, she also understood that Yang Ming looked at her as if she was a stranger. It was just that Yang Ming's heart was relatively kind, and he didn't want to hurt the innocent. Suddenly, there was a noise in the direction of the stairs. Then, many people wearing bulletproof vests and helmets rushed up with rubber rods in their hands. It turned out that the security room found out what happened here by monitoring the movements in the corridor. When Brother Wang heard that Yang Ming's private room was attacked, he was shocked and quickly found a group of professional security guards from Ming Yang Security. Although the security guards couldn't be equipped with guns, they could be equipped with bulletproof vests and rubber rods, so they were naturally not afraid of these people with guns. The boss and third bro were shocked and they saw this. They didn't know where these security guards came from, but they thought that they were from the Nightless Club. Therefore, the boss and third bro hesitated. Using hostages as a threat was useful in front of Yang Ming, but it might not work in front of these security guards. Therefore, the boss and third bro were a little panicked. They could have escaped, but they didn't expect such a change. Big brother and third brother glanced at each other and whispered to each other. Then, the two of them abruptly rushed into an empty private room at the side and locked the door from the inside. Third bro took a deep breath. He knew that it was not difficult to open the door from the outside, so he shouted outside, "Don't come in, or I will kill your waiter here." While talking, third bro and the boss looked at the window of the room to see if they could escape from the window, but unfortunately, the outside of the window of the room was installed with a protective fence. People couldn't jump out at all. This was also installed by the Nightless Club for safety reasons. Otherwise, if some people drank too much, who knew what they would do? There were people who jumped from the private room of the entertainment city. Bao Sanli didn't want to take any responsibility for it. "Motherfucker!" the boss scolded. This protective window was very strong. He couldn't open it in a short time. Outside the private room, the security captain, Brother Wang, rushed over quickly. When he saw that Yang Ming was fine, he immediately wiped the sweat on his forehead. "Brother Yang, I'm sorry. We didn't do our job properly and let these bastards in." Yang Ming waved his hand and said, "The entertainment city is open for business. It's impossible for you to not let people in. It has nothing to do with you." Brother Wang suddenly breathed a sigh of relief. If Yang Ming really blamed him, he couldn't bear the consequences. "What are you doing? Rush in." Brother Wang waved to the security guards behind him. "After you go in, beat them to death." "Wait, there is a hostage inside." Yang Ming shook his head and said, "It's a waiter from the Nightless Club. Who cares about her?" Brother Wang was a little angry when he thought of this. This Shin Yushi actually took the initiative to help others after work. Brother Wang was clear about her little thoughts. "Humph, who asked you to be smug? You deserve it, right?" Yang Ming listened to Brother Wang's words and suddenly frowned. "No." Brother Wang was stunned. He didn't know why Yang Ming cared so much about Shin Yushi, but Shin Yushi's beauty was beyond doubt. Could it be that Brother Yang had a tender heart for the fairer sex? Thinking of this, Brother Wang was shocked. If Yang Ming really took a fancy to Shin Yushi, then if Shin Yushi was killed, would Brother Yang spare him? Brother Wang suddenly sweated again and quickly ordered the security guards behind him. "Don't move. Stand here and listen to Brother Yang's arrangement." These security guards naturally saw that Yang Ming was the leader here, so after Yang Ming said no, they had stopped and waited quietly. "Brother Yang, what do you think we should do now?" Brother Wang was also in a dilemma. According to his intention, he didn't care about Shin Yushi's life or death, but now Yang Ming's intention seemed to be that he didn't want Shin Yushi to be hurt, so recklessly was definitely not possible. Moreover, when he brought people here, Brother Yang seemed to have reached an agreement with the gangsters. As long as they were let go, they would not hurt Shin Yushi. In that case, he seemed to have done something wrong with his good intentions. Because of his appearance and the security guards, these two gangsters were forced into a dead end. Thinking of this, Brother Wang's heart suddenly trembled. Brother Yang, I'm sorry. I originally wanted to bring people to help, but I didn't expect it to be like this. Yang Ming waved his hand and frowned. He said faintly, in this case, it may not be a bad thing. What do you mean? Brother Wang naturally didn't know Yang Ming's thoughts. So, he muttered to himself strangely. Yang Ming's idea was actually very simple. If Brother Wang and these security guards didn't appear, then these two gangsters would definitely run away. But now, they were forced into a dead end, so it was convenient for him to do it. If the strategy and method were right, not only could he not hurt Shin Yushi, but he could also capture these two guys. At this time, Sun Jia also came out of the private room and walked toward Yang Ming. She walked to Yang Ming's side and asked, "How is it?" Two people took the waitress into the private room. Yang Ming pointed to the private room that was surrounded by the security guards, but they didn't dare to act rashly. Chapter 1076. Sun Jia basically understood Yang Ming's meaning. Yang Ming didn't want to hurt the innocent. Otherwise, with these security guards wearing bulletproof vests, they could trample the two gangsters to death using the human wave tactic. Is there a surveillance camera in the room? Sun Jia asked with a frown. No, the camera is only installed in the corridor. It is not installed in the private room. Brother Wang spread his hands and shook his head. In order to protect the privacy of the customers, the hotel will not do this. Sun Jia nodded. Indeed, if the private room was equipped with cameras, who would come here to eat? This was a taboo in most entertainment venues. It would be good if we could see the situation inside the room. The door of this room is made of wood. If we shoot at the door, we should be able to kill the people inside. Sun Jia said helplessly. However, we have to think of another way now. Sun Jia's words reminded Yang Ming. Indeed, it was impossible to rush in. However, if they could see the situation inside from outside the room, it would be different. They could shoot the people inside from outside. It didn't matter whether there was a surveillance camera or not. Yang Ming could use his special ability to see the situation in the room. After the boss and old San entered the room, they knocked Shin Yushi out with the butt of their guns. They didn't want to kill this girl. In that case, they would lose their bargaining chip. However, they didn't have the time to point their guns at Shin Yushi all the time. They had to find a way to escape from here as soon as possible. The boss and old San were not stupid. They knew that this stalemate situation was only temporary. The people outside would rush in sooner or later. Therefore, they had to look around to see if they could start from other aspects. Since Shin Yushi had been knocked out, old San didn't need to hold the gun casually. He threw the gun on the sofa where Shin Yushi was. After all, it was very troublesome to go back and forth with a gun to find the exit. The boss's vigilance was relatively high. He still kept the gun in his hand. I will go to the bathroom. You stay outside. If there is a situation, call me immediately. Don't take it lightly. The boss instructed old San. I got it. Old San nodded absent-mindedly. After all, the situation at the moment had made him a little flustered. He was still young and didn't want to die like this. He hadn't lived long enough yet. Boss quickly walked to the bathroom, wanting to see if there was a vent or something that he could escape from. The customers on the second floor had already been dispersed. The entire floor was filled with Yang Ming's people. Guo Jianchao was also comforting Yang Li and the others in the room, not letting them go out. Brother Yang, what should we do now? The security captain, Brother Wang, was so anxious that he was sweating profusely. If anything happened to Shinyushi inside, would Yang Ming let him pay with his life? Even if Yang Ming didn't say anything, Bao Somli probably wouldn't let him go. Thinking of this, Brother Wang's forehead began to sweat. Yang Ming was now Xia Bingbao's subordinate. He could legally use firearms, so Yang Ming didn't have to be cautious when using a gun in public. After the incident, he would call Xia Bingbao, and he would take care of everything. Yang Ming waved his hand and signaled Brother Wang to be patient and not talk. Yang Ming stared quietly at the door in front of him and didn't speak. Sun Jie didn't know what Yang Ming wanted to do, but since Yang Ming looked very serious, she didn't want to disturb him. Yang Ming took out the lily key from his pocket and gently inserted it into the keyhole of the door. He tapped it a few times, but the door was locked from the inside. It wasn't enough to just use the lily key. He needed other tools. Yang Ming looked around. They were all his people. He hesitated for a moment, but he still took out another set of tools and gently fiddled with the door lock a few times. At this point, the door lock had completely lost its function. After doing all this, Yang Ming just waiting for the opportunity to come. Finally, the opportunity came. The boss entered the bathroom, and Yang Ming slowly raised his gun and aimed at the right leg of Lao San in the room. Yang Ming didn't want to kill Lao San directly. Compared to the boss, it was easier to know the truth from Lao San's mouth. Although Yang Ming could use the acupoint technique to make the boss submit, Yang Ming didn't want to use this trick in front of too many people. Keeping Lao San alive was just in case. Bang! At the same time as the gunshot, Yang Ming also pushed open the door and directly aimed the gun at the bathroom door. Ah! Lao San screamed, which was particularly shrill mixed with the gunshot. What's wrong? The boss in the bathroom was suddenly shocked. He nervously raised the gun in his hand, pointed at the bathroom door, and shouted loudly. However, the boss didn't dare to rush out easily. Yang Ming didn't care about Lao San on the ground. One of his legs was already destroyed. He was far away from the gun on the sofa. If he wanted to get the gun, it would probably take him a lot of effort. The boss couldn't see Yang Ming, but Yang Ming could see the boss. It was a very casual shot, and it hit the boss' right hand that was holding the gun. The boss also screamed, and the gun fell to the ground. Yang Ming didn't wait for the boss to react, and he added another shot to his left hand. Even if the boss picked up the gun at this time, he couldn't use it. Of course, all of this happened in a flash. When Brother Wang rushed in with the people, Yang Ming had already completed all the actions. Catch them. Yang Ming kicked open the bathroom door and faintly ordered. The security guards immediately swarmed up and restrained the boss and Lao San. The boss and Lao San were really a bit inexplicable. They were shot with the door closed. It was really bad luck. They lowered their heads in frustration. They knew that now they had no bargaining chips in their hands. They could only be slaughtered. Yang Ming glanced at Shinyushi on the sofa and said to Brother Wang, "Find a few waitresses and send her to the hospital." Brother Wang saw that Yang Ming was very concerned about Shinyushi, and he was even more convinced in his heart. He was convinced that Yang Ming definitely had that kind of intention toward Shinyushi, so he didn't dare to neglect. He quickly found a few trusted waitresses and instructed them to send Shinyushi to the hospital like they were serving an ant. After Yang Ming finished instructing, he didn't care about Shinyushi anymore. Instead, he frowned and thought about the boss and Lao San. "Yang Ming, how did you do it?" Sun Jia saw what happened just now clearly. As the saying goes, the layman enjoys the show, while the expert appreciates the skill. Whether it was Brother Wang or the security guards, Yang Ming was a very bad-ass in their hearts. Brother Bao's brother was very powerful, so no matter what Yang Ming did, they felt that it was natural. But Sun Jia was different. From Yang Ming's first shot to the second and third shots after entering the room, Sun Jia saw it very clearly. Yang Ming was shooting through the door, and it was amazing that he could accurately shoot the target. If it was just a coincidence, the first shot to Lao San's thigh could be explained, but the second and third shots hit the boss's left and right hands respectively. This surprised Sun Jie. Yang Ming's marksmanship was a bit scary. Moreover, it wasn't just a matter of marksmanship. The question now was, how did Yang Ming shoot the target through the door? What do you mean, how did I do it? Yang Ming began to play dumb. Sun Jie glared at Yang Ming. Don't play dumb with me. Do you think you are stupid, or am I stupid? I said that when you really become my woman, I will tell you all my secrets, said Yang Ming. Is it not counted now? Sun Jie said softly with some annoyance. The body counts, but the heart doesn't. Yang Ming said with a smile, this is also what you admitted. Okay, forget it if you don't want to say it. Sun Jie said angrily. I will tell you when we go back tonight. Yang Ming naturally didn't want to make the relationship with Sun Jie too stiff, so he took a step back. Anyway, he didn't want to tell Sun Jie the real secret. He could just make up a reason when the time came. Sun Jie gritted her teeth and endured it. Do you know these people? Yang Ming asked Sun Jie. I don't know them. Are you sure that they are all coming for me? After Sun Jie listened to Yang Ming's words, she suddenly had a bad feeling in her heart. When we were in the corridor, Old San said such a sentence. He said that their goal was the woman just now. Yang Ming nodded. Just now, they fired at you. That is to say, their goal is you. I don't have any enemies here, right? Sun Jie had some doubts. Then I don't know. The top priority is to interrogate these two people and see if there are any clues. Yang Ming sighed. However, I think the hope is very slim. These two people should be the kind of people who take the money to solve the problem. Sun Jie nodded. How could she not think the same in her heart? When they were in the private room, Old San also said that they took the money to solve the problem, so the possibility of them knowing the behind-the-scenes matters was very small. Yang Ming and Sun Jie walked into a room together. This was the temporary place where the boss and Old San were detained. Brother Wang had already tied up the boss and Old San with ropes. Entering the room, Yang Ming waved to Brother Wang and the others who detained the two people, and then said, "You all go out first." Brother Wang and the others naturally obeyed and left the room. Only Yang Ming and Sun Jie were left in the room. Yang Ming's bullets did not hit the fatal position, so although the boss and Old San were in pain, they were not in mortal danger, and they did not faint. Who asked you to come? Who is your target? Yang Ming moved a chair and sat down. He looked at the boss and Old San and asked. I don't know. Since I have fallen into your hands, I don't want to live. If you want to kill me, just do it. The boss snorted and said coldly. Really? Yang Ming smiled slightly. Then forget it. I gave you a chance. You didn't cherish it. Don't blame me for being impolite. I will start with this guy called Old San. I don't know what will happen if I break your legs. You fucking have the guts to give us a quick death. What kind of hero are you to play tricks? The boss saw that Yang Ming was preparing to torture them, and he was going to torture his younger brother. He immediately became anxious. Sorry, I am not a hero. Yang Ming smiled slightly. I have a shortcoming. If I don't achieve my goal, I won't let people die. Have you heard of an idiom called hovering between life and death? Today, I will let you see what is hovering between life and death. Don't. Old San was not as heroic as the boss. Moreover, Yang Ming wanted to kill him as soon as he came up. This made him a little anxious. Big brother, why don't we just say it? It has nothing to do with us. Why do we have to put our lives on the line? In our line of work, credibility is the most important. We can't betray the employer. The boss glared at Old San and said fiercely. We are going to fucking die. What credibility? I will say it. Don't kill me. I will say it. Yang Ming saw it right. Old San was indeed a coward. After a few scares, he said everything. Old San. The boss wanted to stop him, but he was knocked unconscious by Yang Ming's punch. Yang Ming turned his head as if nothing happened. Okay, you say it. Someone gave us 500,000 yuan to kill you. Old San raised his head and looked at Sun Jie. And he told us that we must kill you in Song Jiang's Nightless Club or Heavenly World. Who gave it? Asked Yang Ming. Then we don't know. You also know that in our line of work, it is not good to ask the employer's information. Old San shook his head and said. This Old San was a coward. When Yang Ming scared him like this, he confessed. He couldn't hide anything. Moreover, when he spoke, Yang Ming deliberately used his special ability to check his thoughts. Because Old San was afraid of death, his mood was very nervous now, so Yang Ming directly saw through his thoughts. He didn't hide anything. He told her everything he knew. Yang Ming was somewhat fortunate. He didn't wait for him to use the pressure point, and this guy confessed everything. Otherwise, he would have to explain the pressure point in front of Sun Jie for a long time. This curious baby seemed to be very curious about everything about him. Yang Ming couldn't not tell her. Every time he made up a reason, he had to rack his brain. Let's go. Yang Ming said to Sun Jie, these two people are just pawns. We can't get any useful information from them. Sun Jie also nodded. She also understood that the person who could pay for her life would not be stupid enough to expose his identity. However, who was it that wanted to kill her? Sun Jie had no enemies in Donghai and Songjiang. Moreover, with the Sun family's reputation, anyone who wanted to touch Sun Jie had to weigh their own ability. Sun Jie wasn't someone who could be touched easily. If the Sun family was provoked, it would be a bloody storm. Therefore, no matter what the consideration was, the employer would not reveal his identity. He was not a fool. Outside the private room, Yang Ming called Xia Bingbao and told him what had just happened. Xia Bingbao only said one sentence after listening, I got it. I will deal with it. In Xia Bingbao's opinion, as long as Yang Ming didn't make a big mess, he would help to settle it. What Yang Ming did now was nothing. It was normal to fight the gangsters bravely. If it was a hot-blooded citizen, he would do the same. However, the only difference was that Yang Ming used a gun. However, with Yang Ming's current identity, this was not a problem at all. Xia Bingbao would naturally be responsible for helping Yang Ming to communicate and deal with the aftermath. After all, Yang Ming's identity was not public. Only a few people in Songjiang knew about it. There was no need to let everyone know. After Yang Ming hung up the phone, Xia Bingbao called Shen Fei and talked about Yang Ming. Of course, this was what Yang Ming didn't know. If he knew, he would have called Shen Fei directly. Yang Ming was afraid that Shen Fei's authority was not enough to deal with this matter. In fact, this matter was really too complicated for Yang Ming. These three people were gangsters. The process of the arrest was not important. What was important was the result. Who did you call just now? Sun Jie asked when she got in the car outside the Nightless Club. With such a thing happening, the meal naturally couldn't be eaten. Guo Jianchao had already taken his girlfriend to send Yang Li home. Zhang Xiaodan sent her boyfriend, Lu Liang, to the hospital. The police had already taken over the case. After Zhang Xiaodan finished the statement, she also gave instructions. However, Zhang Xiaodan didn't think there was anything wrong with it. So what if Yang Ming killed people? At that time, Yang Ming could be regarded as a good Samaritan. As for Yang Ming using a gun later, she didn't see it, so she naturally didn't know what happened after that. The boss and Old San were taken to the police station, and the body of Old San was collected. At this point, this storm had temporarily calmed down. However, both Yang Ming and Sun Jie knew that this was just the beginning. The power hidden behind the whole thing had just emerged. Perhaps, this time was just a test, or maybe they really wanted Sun Jie's life. A friend. Yang Ming smiled. His identity is not simple. After all, I just used a gun in front of many people. I have to find someone to help settle this matter. Sun Jie nodded and didn't ask much. After all, she was also born in this kind of family. She was already accustomed to such things. Now the most important thing was to figure out who was behind the scenes. I don't have any enemies in Songjiang. Why are these people targeting me? Sun Jie frowned and looked thoughtful. Could it be people from Donghai? Asked Yang Ming. Donghai. It shouldn't be. All the forces in Donghai are now under the control of my father. The Sun family is not the kind of family that bullies others. They coordinate the forces in all aspects well. Sun Jie shook her head and said, even if they are not satisfied with the Sun family, they should not come to Songjiang to kill me. Chapter 1077. Perhaps, the behind-the-scenes person is not targeting you, but me. During this time, various forces had emerged around Yang Ming. They wanted to deal with him. Yang Ming was already a little neurotic. Targeting you? What do you mean? Sun Jie turned to look at Yang Ming curiously. Old San said that the employer must have him assassinate you in the Nightless Club or Heavenly Earth. So, in other words, if you have an accident in these two places, then who will your father vent his anger on? Yang Ming turned his head and looked at Sun Jie faintly. Sun Jie listened to Yang Ming's words and suddenly understood. She looked up at Yang Ming with some surprise. You mean, these two places are your territory? If I have an accident here, then, Yang Ming nodded and said, yes, in this way, you can legitimately provoke the relationship between me and the Sun family. No matter how good the relationship between the two of us is, if you have an accident here, Old Master Sun can't be the same as before. Then, there will be a rift between the forces of Donghai and Songjiang. Perhaps, because of this matter, the two gangs will fight to the death. Yang Ming's analysis was indeed reasonable. Even Sun Jie, who was quick-witted, was at a disadvantage. Of course, it is also possible that the enemy of our family is provoking the hatred between us to kill with a borrowed knife. Naturally, there is also this possibility. Yang Ming smiled after listening. This person's intention is insidious. If you really have an accident, even if your father has doubts, he will probably vent his anger on me. In this case of losing a loved one, people tend to lose their minds. Sun Jie said, yes, this person is grasping this mentality. Even if there are doubts, he will ignore it in grief. Don't you want to communicate with your father about this? Yang Ming felt that this matter was a bit serious, so he suggested to Sun Jie. Naturally, I have to talk. I am going to call my father now. Sun Jie said, because I also think that this matter is mostly directed at my family. Because your identity is still in a confidential state, most of the people who know your identity are your confidants, so the possibility of targeting you is relatively small. But I'm different. Even if the person behind the scenes doesn't know my identity, he can still use this strategy. Because on the surface, the Nightless Club and Heavenly World belong to Bao Sanli's industry. Provoking the conflict between our family and Bao Sanli can also achieve this person's purpose. After listening to Sun Jie's words, Yang Ming nodded. Indeed, what Sun Jie said made sense. He had not offended anyone in the underworld. According to Yang Ming's feeling, these three people did not seem to be his past enemies. The level of these three people was really too low. Other than the Death Warrior, he had basically figured out the rest of the enemies. However, these three people were obviously not on the same level as that Death Warrior. Therefore, this matter was more like a dispute in the underworld. The method used was also the usual method used by underworld people, hiring a murderer. Sun Jie called Sun Hongjun and told him what had just happened. Naturally, she also said the process of how Yang Ming repelled the people. Sun Hongjun was very glad. It seemed that he did not fancy Yang Ming in vain. He had to ask Sun Jie to give the phone to Yang Ming. He wanted to talk to Yang Ming. Hello? Uncle Sunday. Yang Ming picked up the phone. Yang Ming, I will investigate this matter carefully. However, during the investigation period, you and little Jia should pay attention to safety. Don't go out if there is nothing. Sun Hongjun instructed. Don't worry, Uncle Sunday. I will find someone to protect little Jia. Yang Ming said, you can rest assured. After this incident, Yang Ming naturally did not dare to take it lightly. He was going to find a good bodyguard among Li Chang's people to be Sun Jia's bodyguard. Originally, Yang Ming wanted to find a woman to be Sun Jia's bodyguard, but there was no suitable person in his hands. It seemed that he really had to let Li Chang train a group of female assassins in the future. Hanging up the phone, Yang Ming drove to the development zone where Sun Jia lived. During this time, don't go out to socialize. I may have to go to Africa in a few days. I can't always be by your side to protect you, but I will send a good person to be your bodyguard. Yang Ming said. It's not necessary, right? Our family also has a bodyguard. Sun Jia felt that Yang Ming was making a fuss, but she was still a little happy. After all, Yang Ming's current nervous look was not fake. It's not the same. Yang Ming shook his head and said faintly, my people are personally trained by me. Sun Jia moved her mouth, and there was a trace of surprise in her eyes. She wanted to say something, but in the end, she didn't say it. She also knew that if it was really related to Yang Ming's secret, Yang Ming would not tell her. He would definitely come up with some excuses such as after she became his woman. The shocking strength that Yang Ming showed made Sun Jia more and more surprised. Originally, Sun Jia thought that Yang Ming was just a little punk who was better at fighting. Although he was capable, there was still a certain gap between him and the real powerhouse. But today's incident completely changed Sun Jia's view of Yang Ming. Yang Ming's agility and calmness when he encountered problems left a deep impression on Sun Jia. Especially when he found that someone aimed a gun at her, Yang Ming could quickly respond and kill the gangster who rushed into the house. Then, he seized the gun and restrained the person who came in later. This series of actions was skillful without the slightest sloppiness. Steady, ruthless, and accurate. These were the 3 evaluations that Sun Jia gave to Yang Ming. Later, what made Sun Jia even more surprised was that Yang Ming seemed to be very proficient in the use of guns. Although Sun Jia also played with guns, after all, there were very few places in the country where guns were used. Most of the conflicts between gangs used cold weapons. Most of the hot weapons were only used to scare people. Although Yang Ming had already stood at the peak of Song Jiang's forces, after all, he was a newcomer. Sun Jia didn't believe that Yang Ming had played with guns many times, but now it seemed that this wasn't the case. When Yang Ming used a gun, he was the kind of person who used it directly without even studying it. If he wasn't familiar with guns, he wouldn't be so casual. What made Sun Jia feel most inconceivable was that Yang Ming could actually shoot old San and the boss through the door panel. This wasn't just a problem of accurate shooting, but Sun Jia thought that Yang Ming must have some special methods, such as listening to sounds, but she would never think that Yang Ming was a special ability user. Everything that Yang Ming showed made Sun Jia very puzzled. Sun Jia couldn't figure out whether Yang Ming was a student or something else. However, according to the strength that Yang Ming now showed, it was not by chance that Yang Ming could succeed. The car passed through the shanty town near the development zone, which was the only way to the development zone. This is the land that your company wants to develop? Sun Jia looked out of the window at the shanty town that was very different from the development zone. According to the original plan of Dekang Real Estate, it was to develop this place into a high-end villa area. Yang Ming nodded and said. Wei Dekang was alive and well. How did he die? Sun Jia glanced at Yang Ming. Who knows? Didn't they say that he was gay and troubled by love? Yang Ming shrugged and said. Do you believe it? Sun Jia looked at Yang Ming with a smile. This glance made Yang Ming a little creepy. What do you want to say? Nothing. Sun Jia shook her head. Even if she doubted some things, she didn't want to say it. After all, it involved some private matters. In fact, it's nothing. Wei Dikang offended me. There were some things that Yang Ming didn't need to hide from Sun Jie. Sun Hongjun, who came from the underworld, was definitely not very clean. It was normal to have people's lives on his hands. Yang Ming killed people in front of Sun Jie, so he didn't care about these trivial matters. Yang Ming couldn't say that his special ability and identity as an assassin were the only things that Yang Ming couldn't say. There was really no need to hide other things from Sun Jie. I guessed it. Sun Jie said faintly, but it was done very cleanly. It is worthy of praise. Even I only suspected it. There was no evidence of correlation. Originally, the company was bought through normal channels. It is normal to have no evidence. Yang Ming smiled. When I merged with Wang's Century Xiongfen Group, they still had an idle piece of land in West Star Mountain. If the development of Shantytown this time is successful, I can start the development plan of West Star Mountain. The land in West Star Mountain is actually yours? Sun Jie looked up at Yang Ming in surprise. Yeah, what's wrong with it? Yang Ming wondered why Sun Jie had such a reaction. My company proposed a construction proposal for a large resort leisure club a while ago. The company's senior management agreed that the site should be in West Star Mountain, but a whole piece of land in West Star Mountain was bought. The company contacted the owner of the land, but it was rejected. Sun Jie said, later, this plan had to be put on hold. Ask? When did you ask? Yang Ming was a bit puzzled. It was reasonable to say that his company had no plans to enter the real estate industry a while ago. The land in West Star Mountain was idle, so it was better to sell it first. If the buyer took the initiative, there was no reason to refuse directly. At least, they should discuss the price first. Besides, for such an important matter, there was no reason not to ask for his opinion. Whether it was Guo Jianchao or Ho Junhan, it was impossible not to ask him. Before the new year. Sun Jie said, it was specifically from the business department below. I didn't ask in detail. That's right. After Yang Ming heard it, he said, at that time, Wang's Century Xiongfen Group had not yet merged into Mingyang. Wang Shifan was being investigated because of a smuggling case. Naturally, he had no time to study the land. It turned out to be this case. Sun Jie said, the land in West Star Mountain is a place with good feng shui. Don't look at how deserted it is now. If it is built as a resort club, it will be first class in the province. After all, the unique geographical location is incomparable to other places. There are mountains in front, sea behind, and river on the left. This environment is suitable for building a resort club. If you are interested, we can develop it together. Yang Ming didn't know as much as Sun Jie. Moreover, in Yang Ming's view, Sun Jie was destined to become his woman, so this kind of good thing was equivalent to benefiting himself from Sun Jie. Okay. Sun Jie didn't refuse. For Yang Ming, she was never polite. This guy not only took my first time, but he also continued to shamelessly take my second time, third time, and even the nth time. Therefore, Sun Jie was justified in taking advantage of him. Wait for me to make a plan. We will be responsible for the construction. You will provide the land, and we will share half of the shares. Sun Jie said. Okay, whatever. Yang Ming said indifferently. Can I not give you a share? Sun Jie saw Yang Ming's indifference and was a little annoyed. Just give me you. What do I want the shares for? Yang Ming said as if it was a matter of course. You are dreaming. Sun Jie was annoyed and amused. It turns out that your appetite is bigger. Are you eyeing the entire Sun family's industry? I am not short of money. Yang Ming said with a smile, in fact, compared to the entire Sun family, I am more interested in you. Are you serious? I don't believe it. Sun Jie snorted. Although she also knew that Yang Ming was very rich, who didn't want to be richer? All the industries of the Sun family added up were only more than Yang Ming's and not less than his. Of course, Sun Jia naturally didn't think that Yang Ming still had an income from being an assassin. If she knew, she would understand that Yang Ming wasn't lying. At present, Yang Ming really didn't put this small amount of money in his eyes. Naturally, Yang Ming couldn't tell Sun Jia about these things, so Yang Ming just smiled faintly. Just now, such an incident happened. Yang Ming and Sun Jia didn't wait for dinner and hurried back. When they were near Sun Jia's house, Yang Ming's stomach growled. Only then did he remember that he hadn't eaten yet. Are you hungry? Yang Ming asked Sun Jia. Originally, I wasn't hungry, but after you said that, I am a little hungry. Sun Jia smiled and said, why don't we find a place to eat something first? Sometimes, people were like this. If others didn't mention it, they couldn't remember it themselves. If Yang Ming didn't mention the matter of eating, Sun Jia naturally wouldn't feel hungry. But when Yang Ming mentioned it, Sun Jia naturally thought that she hadn't eaten at night. Is there anything delicious around here? Asked Yang Ming. There is nothing nearby. The people who live here are the rich class. There are no snack bars nearby, and the price of the house here is so high that the snack bars can't afford to rent. Sun Jia spread her hands and said helplessly, almost every family has a full-time housekeeper who cooks. Even if we go out to eat, we go to luxurious big restaurants. There are no snack bars. Yang Ming looked around. Indeed, as Sun Jia said, there were no snack bars nearby. There were several commercial services, pharmacies, small supermarkets, and professional laundries. There were indeed no snack bars. No matter how rich they were, it was impossible not to buy medicine and some necessities of life. Some furs and the like couldn't be washed at home and could only be sent to the laundries. However, a snack bar was different. There was a full-time housekeeper at home. When they went out, they would drive to a luxurious hotel. The snack bar was redundant, and it wouldn't make money here. Don't you have a full-time housekeeper at home? Asked Yang Ming. I live alone. What full-time housekeeper do I have? Sun Jia said helplessly with a bitter smile, I eat around the company every day, or I eat in the cafeteria at school. How can I hire a housekeeper at home? This way. Yang Ming thought about it and said, right, isn't my elder sister Yang Li's house next to yours? She has a housekeeper at home. Just ask her housekeeper to cook a few dishes and send them over. You are really thick-skinned enough to trouble others. If you have the time, it is better for us to drive somewhere else to eat. Sun Jia didn't want to trouble others, so she felt a little embarrassed. It's nothing. Yang Ming didn't care much. After all, his uncle's family had received too much kindness from him. Yang Ming picked up the phone first and called Yang Li, elder sister, how is it? Did you leave the police station? Except for Yang Ming and Sun Jia, the other people present were invited to the police station to make a statement. However, when Chen Fei summarized the statement, all the places involving Yang Ming were marked as confidential. Yang Ming's current identity was not what it used to be, so everything about Yang Ming couldn't be made public. Because the case was very obvious, these three guys were armed with guns to kill people and take hostages. There was no need to interrogate, and the guy called Old San confessed. Anyway, Old San had already confessed once, and now he was very straightforward. He would say whatever was asked. Yang Li and the others were naturally allowed to leave after a few questions. Yang Ming, I left. How are you? I haven't seen you all this time. Yang Li said with some concern, but you can rest assured. The police who handled the case had already said that your behavior was righteous and justified self-defense. The other party had a gun in his hand. What you did wasn't wrong. I'm fine now. After the relationship between Yang Ming and Yang Li was repaired, Yang Li, as an elder sister, acted like an elder sister. She was very concerned about Yang Ming. I am going to little Jia's house now. We haven't eaten yet. We are going to your house to eat. little Jie? Yang Li obviously found it strange that Yang Ming called Sun Jie as little Jie. She wondered about the relationship between Yang Ming and Sun Jie, but she said, "Welcome. I will be home soon. You can wait for me at my door. You can go in first since you are not outsiders." "That's fine. We will wait for you at the door. Anyway, it's not cold in the car. If we go in separately, your family will be suspicious." Yang Ming said. "That's right. I told my mother that I would eat with Sister Sun Jie. If you go back first, she will definitely ask." Yang Li said, "Right, Yang Ming, are you not going to tell second uncle about what happened just now?" "And, you don't have to say it." Yang Ming didn't want his family to worry. "Okay, I will listen to you." Since Yang Li was rescued by Yang Ming last time, she also listened to Yang Ming's words. Yang Li, who had experienced life and death last time, didn't show too much fear in the face of danger this time. Chapter 1078. Yang Li came back in her modern sports car. Yang Ming used to think that this car was not bad, but now it seemed that the grade was a bit lower. Yang Dashan was now a senior executive of Mingyang. He took the Audi A8 to go in and out, but Yang Li still drove her previous car. "When it's your birthday, I will give you a new car. You can choose whatever model you want." Yang Ming looked at Yang Li coming out of the car and said with a smile. "Really?" Yang Li was very happy after listening to Yang Ming's words. "Brother, did your elder sister also borrow your glory? What is there to lie about?" Yang Ming smiled. "I said that it will be your birthday gift. Did you forget that my birthday is this month? I am just 1 year and 1 day older than you." Yang Li said. "Ah. I see." Yang Ming didn't have much contact with his uncle's family since he was a child. His relationship with Yang Li was even more tense. He had never attended Yang Li's birthday party, so he didn't remember when Yang Li's birthday was. Now that he heard Yang Li mention it, he suddenly felt a little embarrassed. Hee, of course. Yang Li also knew what Yang Ming was thinking, so she didn't say much. It would only increase the awkwardness. "Why? Do you feel that you are about to fulfill your promise, so you want to go back on your words?" "That's not it." Yang Ming shook his head and said, "It's just that there are too many things. You choose the model of the car, and I will ask someone to order it for you." "Okay, then it's a promise." Yang Li nodded happily. Sun Jie looked at Yang Li and Yang Ming and shook her head with a bitter smile. In the beginning, the relationship between the two people wasn't good, but now it seemed that they were like a real brother and sister. Sun Jie was also happy for them. "Yeah, I was so busy talking that I forgot about Sister Sun Jie." Yang Li looked up and saw Sun Jie. She said quickly, "Sister Sun Jie, how are you? Are you okay?" "I'm fine." Sun Jie shook her head and said, "That Lu Liang, how is he? Who cares about him? After going back, I will ask Zhang Xiaodan to break up with him. This person is really not good. He is narrow-minded." Obviously, Yang Li couldn't stand it either. "Forget it, let them do as they please." Yang Ming had seen too many of these kinds of people and was somewhat indifferent, so he indifferently said. But thinking about it, that Lu Liang really deserved it. Who asked him to be like that? The bullet hit him. He really deserved it. Yang Li said with some schadenfreude. Yang Ming and Sun Jie couldn't help but smile after listening. Indeed, that guy really deserved it. Otherwise, why did the bullet shoot him and not others? The three people walked together to Yang Li's villa. Yang Li rang the doorbell. The person who opened the door was Yang Ming's aunt. When she saw Yang Ming and Sun Jie following behind Yang Li, she was obviously stunned. Then, she said happily, "Big Ming, Sun Jie, you are here." "Mom, they are here for dinner," Yang Li said. Auntie had always been good to Yang Ming since he was young. Therefore, In his uncle's house, the only one that Yang Ming liked was his auntie. Auntie saw that Yang Dashan and Yang Dahai had recently reconciled, and she was very happy in her heart. However, Yang Ming had never come to the house again. This made the auntie feel that there was still a knot in Yang Ming's heart, so she had been brooding. This time, when she saw Yang Ming coming for dinner, she was very surprised, but she was somewhat caught off guard. Aya, what should I do? Why didn't I say hello in advance? I didn't prepare any dishes. It's okay, auntie. We just came to have a home-cooked meal. It's not a banquet. Just do whatever you want. Yang Ming said with a smile. You are family, so it's fine, but Xiao Li's friend is also here. We can't deal with it. Otherwise, I will ask the nanny to buy some more food and make something else. Auntie said quickly. No need, auntie. I am Yang Ming's girlfriend and a good friend of Yang Li. We can be considered a family. Sun Jia smiled and said sweetly. Ah. Listening to Sun Jia, not only was the auntie stunned, but even Yang Li was stunned. Yang Li always thought that Sun Jia and Yang Ming were just acting, but now it seemed that it wasn't the case. Yang Ming was still with Sun Jia so late at night, and he called Sun Jia Little Jia. This couldn't help but explain the problem. However, she didn't expect that Sun Jia and Yang Ming, who were a few years apart, would actually become a couple. Even Yang Ming didn't expect Sun Jia to say this. He looked at Sun Jia with a little surprise, but he saw that her face was as usual. There was nothing wrong with it. He didn't know what she meant by doing this. However, Sun Jia looked at Yang Ming with some demonstration. Her eyes were full of a sly smile, which made Yang Ming even more creepy. However, the auntie didn't ask much. Since Yang Ming didn't deny it, it must be the case. The auntie suddenly said enthusiastically, then I'm even more sorry. Big Ming brought his girlfriend to the auntie's house for the first time, and the auntie didn't treat her well. It doesn't matter, auntie. You think too much. Both of us are not picky, and now we are hungry. It's fine as long as we can fill our stomachs, said Yang Ming. Right, didn't you just go to eat? After the auntie listened to Yang Ming's words, she remembered that Yang Li said that she went to eat with Sun Jia. Why were they hungry again after eating? Don't mention it. Yang Li just wanted to talk about what happened before, but she suddenly remembered Yang Ming's instruction. She quickly changed her words. We went to the restaurant, but before the dishes were served, Zhang Xiaodan and her boyfriend had an unpleasant argument. Her boyfriend was really a bad person. When the two of them quarreled, we didn't have the mood to stay anymore, so we just left. Yang Li already hated Lu Liang, so she pushed all the blame to him. Lu Liang, who was in a coma in the hospital, didn't know that Yang Li used him as a scapegoat again. So that's how it is. The auntie didn't have the slightest doubt. She nodded and no longer asked. She went into the house and instructed the nanny to find slippers for Yang Ming. Then, she asked the nanny to go to the kitchen to prepare as much food as possible. Yang Ming took the initiative to be a guest this time, which made the auntie very happy. At the dinner table, she kept asking about his well-being. She was also very curious about Sun Jia. The auntie knew that Sun Jia's family was very unusual and very powerful in Donghai. Although Sun Jia wasn't young, she maintained herself exceptionally well. She usually had no makeup. Except for her big chest, she looked like an 18 or 19-year-old girl. She was about the same age as Yang Li. Besides, girls nowadays were more mature. A big chest didn't mean anything, so the auntie didn't think much about Sun Jia's age. She just found it strange that Yang Ming and Sun Jia were together. Whether it was Yang Li, Sun Jia, or Yang Ming, they were all hungry. Although the meal wasn't so sumptuous, it was very delicious. After the meal, Yang Ming and Sun Jia got up and left. The auntie naturally asked them to stay again and again. She asked Yang Ming and Sun Jia to visit more often when they were free. Yang Li had always wanted to find an opportunity to ask Sun Jia how she and Yang Ming were together, but because her mother was present, she didn't have the opportunity to ask. She could only talk about it later. Sun Jie's villa was very close to Yang Li's house. Yang Ming just got off the car and arrived. He parked the car in the underground parking lot under Sun Jie's villa. "Why did you just tell my auntie that you are my girlfriend?" When he arrived at Sun Jie's house, Yang Ming lazily lay on the sofa and asked Sun Jie, who was peeling an apple. "Why? Isn't this the result you want?" asked Sun Jie. "It is true, but didn't you say that you want to test me?" Yang Ming nodded and asked with some suspicion. "The test is true, but I am quite satisfied with your performance today." Sun Jie said, "Consider it as a temporary pass. I will give you some benefits." "That means I passed the test?" Yang Ming smiled. "Now, are you going to be my girlfriend?" "I just said it temporarily. In front of your auntie, I will give you some face and let you be happy first. I didn't say that you passed." Sun Jie threw the apple peel in her hand into the fruit plate and picked up the peeled apple. "Are you going to peel it for me?" Yang Ming said shamelessly. He naturally knew that Sun Jie couldn't be conquered by him so quickly. No matter what the reason was, at least today was a relatively good start. "You wish." Sun Jie picked up the apple and took a bite. She looked at Yang Ming proudly. When she saw Yang Ming looking at her with a greedy face, she couldn't bear it. She shook her head helplessly and put the apple in the fruit plate. She cut it from the middle with a knife and handed half to Yang Ming. "I'll give you half." "I want that half." Yang Ming pointed to the other half of the apple in Sun Jie's hand. "Which half is different? Why are you so troublesome?" Sun Jie said with some dissatisfaction. "You have taken a bite of this half." Yang Ming was scolded by Sun Jie. He had to take the half of the apple that Sun Jie handed over. "Why? Do you dislike my saliva?" Sun Jie frowned with some displeasure. "If you dislike me, don't kiss me in the future." "No." Yang Ming smiled bitterly. "I mean, this apple is missing a piece. It's not worth it for me, go to hell." Sun Jie glared at Yang Ming and secretly scolded this guy for not being serious. Yang Ming smiled and lowered his head to eat the apple. "Hey, temporary girlfriend, are you tired?" Yang Ming finished eating the apple and looked at Sun Jie's plump figure. His heart was a little active. "What do you want?" Sun Jie looked at Yang Ming's eyes and knew that this guy was up to no good. "No? Shouldn't we rest?" Yang Ming deliberately yawned. "I'm so sleepy. There are so many things today. Okay, then I will watch TV for a while. You go to sleep first." Sun Jie looked at Yang Ming with a smile and said, "The guest room is over there. The bedding inside is new. You can sleep directly. There is a separate bathroom in the guest room for you to take a bath." Yang Ming listened to Sun Jie's words and was suddenly stunned. Originally, he wanted to sleep with Sun Jie. He didn't expect Sun Jie to ask him to sleep in the guest room. Then, what was the point of him coming here? Seeing Yang Ming's stunned look, Sun Jie couldn't help but laugh. It turns out that Yang Ming also has moments of stupidity. "Indeed, I asked him to sleep in the guest room, but he can refuse. His legs are on his body. Isn't he able to sleep wherever he wants to sleep? Even if I lock the bedroom door, I believe that with Yang Ming's unlocking skills, opening the door is just a piece of cake. With Yang Ming's unlocking skills, my own lock is not his opponent. Ugh. I still have a lot of things to ask about real estate. You see, can we sleep in the same bed? Otherwise, it is not easy to communicate. The phone bill has always been very expensive." Yang Ming didn't want to sleep alone, so he quickly said shamelessly, "It's okay. My family has an inside line. It doesn't cost money," said Sun Jie. "That, didn't you read on the internet? If you talk on the phone for a long time, it is easy to get brain cancer." Yang Ming said seriously, "So, we can't joke with our lives. That seems to be a wireless phone, right? My phone is wired. Sun Jia listened to Yang Ming's words and couldn't help but laugh. It's almost the same. The phone's receiver is a magnet. It is said that it can produce nuclear magnetic resonance. Yang Ming didn't quite understand, so he began to make up nonsense. Nuclear magnetic resonance? That seems to be a medical term in the hospital, right? Sun Jia looked at Yang Ming suspiciously. In short, it's not very good. It's not good for the eardrums. Yang Ming said seriously. If you want to sleep together, just say it. Why do you have so many reasons? Ha. Sun Jia finally couldn't help but laugh. Damn, are you playing with me? Yang Ming smiled bitterly. I thought you really asked me to sleep alone. Since I asked you to come to my house, what do you think? Sun Jia rolled her eyes at Yang Ming and said, I am going to take a shower. You should take a shower too. Shower together? Yang Ming suddenly had a whim. Shower together. I didn't expect Sun Jia to be so overbearing when she's not serious. She is really a little fox. Hee hee, but I like it. What, shower together? Didn't I tell you already? You can also shower in the guest room. Sun Jia said angrily, I want to take a bath. Don't make trouble for me, or I will change my mind. Oh. Yang Ming nodded disappointedly. It seems that I think too much. Sometimes it's wrong to be quick-witted. Yang Ming really wanted to know what Sun Jia looked like with a bunch of soap bubbles all over her body, especially in front of her chest. So, the little Yang Ming under Yang Ming began to be disobedient. Yang Ming took a shower quickly. He just needed to apply the bath gel and rinse, but Sun Jia was slower. After Yang Ming finished showering, he went to Sun Jia's bedroom on the second floor. Sun Jia's bedroom was easy to judge. There were some documents and reference books, and a notebook at the bedside. Yang Ming pushed the door directly and went in. He got into the quilt. Yes, there was a woman's fragrance on the bed. It was the unique smell of Sun Jia. However, it was somewhat similar to the smell of Shao Qing. She was indeed a lesbian. The smell was almost the same. Yang Ming thought very lasciviously. The more he thought, the more anxious he became. Sun Jia didn't mean to come out of the bathroom. Yang Ming couldn't be helped. He had to come to the side of the bathroom and asked, I say, dear little Jia Jia, are you done showering? It's been half an hour. It's only been half an hour? Not yet. Wait a little longer. Sun Jia said leisurely. Only half an hour? Yang Ming was suddenly full of black lines. He couldn't help but look into the bathroom with his special ability. He saw Sun Jia lying comfortably in the bathtub, holding a women's fashion magazine and reading it. Just take a shower. Don't read magazines or something like that. Otherwise, some of your moral quality will be bad. Yang Ming snorted and said. I didn't. Sun Jia was shocked. She quickly threw the magazine aside and stared in the direction of the bathroom door. Are you peeping at me? It turns out that you are really reading? I just said it casually. The bathroom door of your house is not locked. Don't you know? Yang Ming said jokingly. Sun Jia was embarrassed, and her face turned red. Sure enough, she found that the bathroom door was locked. Sun Jia was a little annoyed. She had just left, but she actually fell into Yang Ming's trap. However, since she had admitted that she was reading, Sun Jia was embarrassed to continue. She hurriedly wiped her body and put on clean pajamas. Yang Ming was looking at the situation in the bathroom outside the door. When he saw the waves on Sun Jia's chest, he suddenly opened his eyes wide. He was stunned, and saliva almost came out from the corner of his mouth. Sun Jia opened the door and suddenly saw Yang Ming standing at the door with a perverted look. She couldn't help but say, what is there to see? Sun Jie didn't know that Yang Ming saw her naked appearance before. She thought that Yang Ming was dumbfounded by her appearance when she came out of the shower. No, ha. Yang Ming naturally wouldn't admit it. He laughed and said, I guessed it right. You are really reading a magazine. Just flipping through it. Sun Jie was a little embarrassed. When she entered the bedroom, she saw that her quilt had been opened. Sun Jie glared at Yang Ming. Did I let you go to bed? Ugh. Didn't you say that if you let me come, then I can do whatever I want? Yang Ming sweated. This woman changed her mind really quickly. Can we go to bed now? Now, then I will let you go. Sun Jie enjoyed Yang Ming's low posture now. Yang Ming held Sun Jie's waist and pushed her onto the bed. Yeah, what do you want to do? Sun Jie was shocked. She didn't expect Yang Ming to be so bold. However, Yang Ming had always been bold. You said it yourself. I want to go to bed with you, said Yang Ming. What I said was. Sun Jie just said half of it, and her red lips were sealed by Yang Ming. Sun Jie was helpless. She didn't expect Yang Ming to actually make an issue out of her faulty wording and misinterpret her meaning. However, now, Sun Jie also followed Yang Ming's wishes. Anyway, it wasn't the first time Yang Ming looked for Sun Jie because he really wanted to consult Sun Jie about some operating procedures in real estate. Therefore, he didn't fool around with Sun Jie all the time. After the two people were intimate, Yang Ming calmed down and listened to Sun Jie's unique views on the operation of real estate companies and some detailed suggestions on the development of West Star Mountain. Yang Ming's ability to receive was very strong, and his ability to understand was not bad. Previously, when he pretended to be an employee of Sun Jie's company to deceive Sun Hongjun, Sun Jie didn't feel surprised about Yang Ming's keen thinking at the moment. Instead, she felt that Yang Ming should be like this. Chapter 1079. The development of the West Star Mountain Resort was put on the agenda. This resort was jointly funded and developed by three parties. They were Yang Ming's Songjiang Mingyang Industrial Company, Limited, Sun Jie's Hangjun Real Estate Songjiang Branch, and President Hua's Donghai Xinhua Mingyue Real Estate Company. Zhou Jiejie's mother, Hua Fang's company had been committed to the construction of resorts, hotels, and other facilities. It was a more senior developer. However, it didn't matter even if it wasn't senior. Yang Ming mainly wanted to ease the relationship with Mother Zhou. As for the distribution of shares, Yang Ming didn't care. Anyway, they were a family. It didn't matter who had more or less. However, it was finally determined that Yang Ming's Mingyang Industrial Company, Limited owned 40% of the shares, and Sun Jie and Hua Fang each owned 30%. The land belonged to Yang Ming. The relationship with Songjiang would be straightened out by Yang Ming, so it was not a problem to build the largest resort in the province. It turned out that the largest resort in Songjiang province was the Immortal Resort, which was also in the border county not far from West Star Mountain. However, Yang Ming's land was 5 times the size of the Immortal Resort. He also had the right to use and develop West Star Mountain. If the resort was built, the Immortal Resort would have no way to survive. What Yang Ming wanted to do was to kill them all. Whether it was the Wei family or the Sui family, Yang Ming didn't have a good impression of them. Naturally, he wouldn't be polite. With Yang Ming's words, Ho Zhenhan and Bao Sanli naturally began to work in full swing. They frequently began to contact Sun Jie and Hua Fang. Yang Ming was a hands-off shopkeeper and no longer asked. Because the jewelry exhibition was about to open, Yang Ming had to go all out to deal with it. If there was a slight mistake, it would be beyond redemption. Although Yang Ming could afford it, Yang Ming didn't want to pay. What Yang Ming really wanted to do was to let the other party go for wool and come back shorn. Li Chang had received Yang Ming's order to bring all the elites over and arrange them in the main positions of the exhibition. It could be said that the Black Butterfly organization was the main security for this exhibition, and the Mingyang Security Company was the support. Only insiders knew about this. It was announced to the public that everyone belonged to the Ming-Yang Security Company. The security work of this jewelry exhibition was a very difficult task and an unprecedented challenge for the Ming-Yang Security Company, Li Chang, and others, and even Yang Ming himself. Yang Ming gave his original analysis to Li Chang. Only by knowing oneself and knowing one's enemy could one emerge victorious. Therefore, Yang Ming didn't hide it. He even told Li Chang about Sun Jie's guess. Li Chang listened to Yang Ming's words and was very attentive. He did not dare to slack off in the slightest. The International Jewelry Exhibition organized by the China Jewelry Association officially opened. This was a comprehensive event. According to the level of jewelry displayed, it was divided into a simple exhibition area, a sales area, and an auction area. As the name implied, the exhibition area was only for exhibition and not for sale. These were some priceless and famous jewelry with a lot of history. The owners of the exhibitions were often big collectors. They didn't care about money, so no matter how much money was offered, they wouldn't sell the collection in their hands. In the exhibition area, although there were many precious jewelry, they were all processed in recent years. No matter how beautiful they were all valuable items that could be traded at any time. In the auction area, there were limited quantities of jewelry made purely by hand. Often, many styles were unique. If one wanted to get it, they could only get it through bidding. A large part of the jewelry of the Lu Weishan Jewelry Company this time was auctioned. Because the styles were out of print, the price was naturally not cheap. The entire exhibition lasted for a week. On the last day of the exhibition, a large cocktail party would be held. At that time, some celebrities would participate. Lu Weishan Jewelry also sent an invitation to its spokesperson, Shuya, but whether Shuya could come or not depended on the situation. Those who were eligible to participate in the cocktail party, in addition to the exhibitors, were the mysterious collectors and the customers who finally bid for the jewelry. Therefore, if Shuya came, it would have a certain promoting effect on the Lu Weishan jewelry brand. In the final analysis, the China Jewelry Association was also a civil association. It was a joint organization of the jewelry industry. Therefore, when the jewelry exhibition was held, only a civil security company could be responsible for security. The police couldn't be arranged to intervene. After all, this was not an official event. During the day, almost every position in the exhibition hall had Yang Ming's informants and people, so the possibility of an accident was not very high. Yang Ming predicted that the most likely time of the accident was the period before the opening of the exhibition every morning and after the exhibition every night. However, even so, Yang Ming did not dare to take it lightly. After all, Yang Ming's guess was only based on common sense, and things were ever-changing. No one could say whether the other party would do the opposite and make a move at the most lively time. In order not to cause unnecessary trouble, all the exhibitors, including the staff, had their identity information collected and verified. This was originally a matter for the police, but Yang Ming's identity was special, so it was convenient to do these things. After all the information was verified, these people were allowed to enter the venue. The customers who came to participate in the exhibition were also strictly verified. In addition to checking the electronic information on the ID card, the authenticity of the tickets was also verified, and they had to go through a strict security check when entering the venue. This year's jewelry exhibition could be said to be the most stringent one in the history of the exhibition. Although the media said that the Ming-Yang Security Company was making a fuss, Yang Ming did not feel that there was anything wrong with this. The public opinion was also two-sided. Some people opposed it, and some people praised it. In addition to the media, many people in Songjiang's forum were very supportive of the Ming-Yang Security Company's approach. They were not thinking about others, but for their own safety. In the past, many citizens who wanted to buy jewelry at the jewelry exhibition were afraid that the exhibition would be unsafe with too many people. With strict security measures, thieves and robbers would not be able to sneak in, and the citizens could safely choose their favorite jewelry. The jewelry exhibitors in the venue gave a high degree of approval to the practice of the Ming-Yang Security Company. After all, if the citizens were worried about their own safety, the manufacturers were even more worried. Every year at the exhibition, there were some guys who wanted to fish in troubled waters. They would take away some of the jewelry in the exhibition. Because there were too many people, sometimes they couldn't take care of the jewelry, and the jewelry would be lost. Therefore, the pressure of the manufacturers was also great. This time, the Ming-Yang Security Company adopted a strict security inspection mechanism, and their pressure was much less. Li Chang and Ho Junhan were the chief security commanders of this jewelry exhibition, and Yang Ming was responsible for the overall work. To put it bluntly, it was a flexible operation. At this moment, Yang Ming was wearing a black windbreaker. He was like an ordinary customer, shuttling through the crowd. However, Yang Ming did not neglect. Yang Ming secretly observed everyone's expressions and movements. This was a very tiring job, but Yang Ming had to grit his teeth and persevere. It was only 7 days. It would be over in a short time. When he was training in Europe, it was much harder than this. Yang Ming endured it, so this was nothing at all. The exhibition area and the sales exhibition area were the two areas with the most guests. The sales exhibition area didn't matter. Although there were more manufacturers and customers, the jewelry sold here wasn't too expensive. The total value of the jewelry sold here wasn't as valuable as a single piece of jewelry in the exhibition area. Even if there was a thief staring at the sales exhibition area, it was definitely not a very powerful person. Li Chang's people were enough to deal with it. The most troublesome thing for Yang Ming was the exhibition area. Although the jewelry in the exhibition area was in glass showcases, and there was a cordon nearby, several Yang Ming's people stood beside each showcase to protect it. After walking around the sales exhibition area, they came to the showcase area of Lu Weishan jewelry. Zhao Sisi and Zhang Bin were in charge of the sales exhibition area. Zhang Bin was naturally caught by Zhao Sisi to work together at this time. I don't know how Zhao Sisi and Wang Mei are doing, but now it seems that the relationship between her and Zhang Bin is at least stable. There is nothing unusual. Zhang Bin was also busy commanding the company's employees. "Bro, you are here?" Zhang Bin looked up and saw Yang Ming. He smiled and put down the things in his hands and ran over. "So busy." Yang Ming sighed. Looking at the enthusiastic men and women who were buying jewelry in front of Xu Ya's large poster, he had to admire Xu Ya's charm. It is really not a loss to marry this wife. In the future, I don't even need to pay for the image spokesperson. Hee, I am really a genius. Yang Ming thought very despicably, yeah, I didn't expect so many people. We added a lot of exhibition styles at the last minute. Many styles have been sold out. Zhang Bin nodded and said, "Bro, we are rich this time. I calculated that if we continue to follow today's momentum every day, then the money earned in these few days will be more than the money my dad earns in a year. It is impossible to be like this every day. There are more people on the first day." Yang Ming smiled and said, "However, it is not bad to have such a result. Yeah, you know, our company has only been established for less than half a year." Zhang Bin said, "Even I admire myself. What do you care?" Yang Ming saw that Zhang Bin was so shameless, and he couldn't help but say, "It is Zhao Sisi who has been busy with the company's affairs. How many times have you been to the company?" Hee. Zhang Bin laughed twice and scratched his head. "Right, how is your relationship with Zhao Sisi? How did you deal with Wang Mei's matter?" Yang Ming glanced at the busy Zhao Sisi, and then asked in a low voice. "We reconciled." Zhang Bin said, "But Sisi talked to Wang Mei and told her that if she wants to marry me, she doesn't have to think about it. But if she is willing to be a mistress, it is up to her." I didn't expect Zhao Sisi to be so open-minded. Yang Ming was a little surprised. He thought that there would be a big fight. "Probably she took you as an example." Zhang Bin smiled and said, "Bro, if it weren't for you, maybe Sisi wouldn't be so straightforward." But with you as an example, Cece can easily figure it out. Yang Ming glared at Zhang Bin and said, "Okay, you hurry up and do your work. I still have business to do." "Right, where is Jiyun?" "Jiyun and Meng Yan are responsible for the auction area," Zhang Bin said. "Meng Yan is here too?" Yang Ming was a little surprised. And Jiyun was afraid that she would be too busy, so she came with Meng Yan. Zhang Bin said, "Aren't you going to take a look?" "I'll go in a while. I'll go to the exhibition area first," Yang Ming said. Zhang Bin also vaguely knew that Yang Ming was responsible for the entire security work of the venue, so he didn't ask him to stay. He nodded and went to do his own thing. Yang Ming left the booth of Lu Weishan Jewelry Company and walked to the exhibition area. There were more people in the exhibition area than the auction area, but there weren't as many people in the sales exhibition area. After all, the jewelry displayed here had sky-high prices. Many people just looked at it and left after a glance. They couldn't afford it even if they looked at it too much. It was better not to look at it. This was the most problematic area, so Li Chang was always in this exhibition hall. When he saw Yang Ming come in, he nodded to Yang Ming, and then began to stare at the passing crowd. When Yang Ming entered the exhibition hall, Li Chang could find Yang Ming in the first place. This made Yang Ming very surprised. In other words, Li Chang was always paying attention to the newcomers who came to the exhibition hall. Everyone was under his watch. Thinking of this, Yang Ming nodded with appreciation. Then, he began to carefully observe the movement in the exhibition hall like Li Chang. Most of the customers in the exhibition hall came to see something new. Most people left after looking around. There were also a few people who took photos as souvenirs, but generally, they didn't stay for more than 15 minutes. At this time, Yang Ming's eyes locked on a man in a gray woolen suit. This man was in the exhibition hall since Yang Ming came in. It had been an hour, and he was still shuttling in the exhibition hall. Yang Ming walked to Li Chang's side. Obviously, Li Chang had also noticed the man in the gray woolen suit. "He has been here for 2 hours." Yang Ming nodded. Although he had some doubts about the man's motives, the people who came here were guests. Before the man had any other extreme behavior, Yang Ming couldn't take any action. He could only silently raise his vigilance and pay attention to the man's movements. The man went back and forth in the exhibition hall many times, but he finally stopped on a piece of jewelry. The man stayed in front of this jewelry showcase for the longest time. The security guard in front of this showcase also had a deep impression of this man. When the man came, he maintained a high level of vigilance. It was a diamond necklace worn by a princess in the 15th century European royal family. The value of the necklace was about $2 billion. It belonged to the kind of peerless treasure that was unique. However, in addition to constantly looking at this diamond necklace, the man did not make any other special moves. He was well behaved at all times, and there was nothing wrong with it. Moreover, the man was patiently looking at the necklace over and over again. Yang Ming sighed and shook his head helplessly. Such a person was the most helpless. Although there was suspicion, there was no evidence. Yang Ming couldn't stand here and watch the man all day. This difficult task could only be handed over to Li Chang. Yang Ming told Li Chang to contact him at any time if there was a situation. Yang Ming turned and left the exhibition hall and walked to the auction area. In any case, Yang Ming was responsible for the overall coordination work. Although the possibility of a problem in the auction area was relatively small, Yang Ming still had to check it out. The auction was in progress. The auction was an agate bracelet. The craftsmanship was exquisite, and there were many people bidding. This was provided by a very famous jewelry company in China. The model of the jewelry company stood on the auction stage wearing the bracelet, while the auctioneer held a small hammer at the side and waited. The host was trying his best to introduce the source of the agate and the resume of the bracelet sculptor. "The person who finally gets the bracelet will get a kiss from our model, Xiao Tao." After the host introduced the bracelet, he looked at the model, Xiao Tao, with a slightly provocative tone. This was an activity to temporarily adjust the atmosphere. However, these models were all social butterflies. They were very open-minded about these things. Maybe this kiss could get the favor of a rich man and marry into a wealthy family. Therefore, Xiao Tao smiled slightly. Her red lips were curled up, which was particularly attractive. The host's suggestion made the rich people present suddenly active, and they all called out their own prices. Originally, the starting price of the bracelet was 100,000 yuan, but it was eventually called to a sky-high price of 1 million yuan. A middle-aged man in his 40s finally succeeded in bidding for the bracelet and walked on the stage proudly. Xiao Tao generously kissed the middle-aged man's face and said, "Congratulations, Mr. Wang." The host had already secretly told Xiao Tao the customer's information, so it wasn't strange that Xiao Tao could call out Mr. Wang. "Can I kiss you?" Mr. Wang teased. "Not here. There are so many people." Xiao Tao was also an expert in this field. "This is my business card. You can call me at any time." Mr. Wang was the owner of a tobacco and alcohol store. He was divorced. He liked the young and beautiful Xiao Tao at first glance, so he spent a high price to bid for the bracelet and get a chance to contact the beauty. Xiao Tao generously received Boss Wang's business card, nodded, and left the stage. Yang Ming was a little helpless. How is this an auction? Why does it feel like it's similar to a marriage agency? It's more like a blind date. However, these hosts were arranged by the organizer. Yang Ming had no right to interfere. The next piece of jewelry to be auctioned is a jade thumb ring provided by Songjiang Lu Weishan Jewelry Company, Limited. "Let's welcome our model, Miss Xiao Yan," the host said and made an inviting gesture. A dazzling little beauty held a transparent crystal box with a jade thumb ring and walked out from the backstage. Who else could it be if it wasn't Chen Mengyan? Yang Ming suddenly broke into a sweat. Model Xiao Yan? When did Chen Mengyan become a part-time model? Lin Jiyun and her can really mess around. It's not like the company can't afford a model. Why do they have to do it personally? However, Chen Mengyan's natural beauty was beyond doubt. Chapter 1080. It was undeniable that Chen Mengyan was better than any of the previous models. There was no trace of makeup, but she was still beautiful, which made the previous models pale in comparison. This thumb ring is made of the best jadeite. The host began to introduce the origin of the thumb ring in Chen Mengyan's hand without stopping. The thumb ring had been regarded as a symbol of power since ancient times. Many people thought that the thumb ring was passed down after the Manchus entered the pass. In fact, it was misguided by TV series. In the TV series of the Tang Dynasty, the Song Dynasty, and the Ming Dynasty, the thumb ring rarely appeared, but in the Qing Dynasty, it was very common. It was often seen that the emperor gave jade thumb rings to his ministers as a reward, and some nobles were used to wearing them when they went out. In fact, the thumb ring had appeared as early as the Shang Dynasty, and was popular in the Han Dynasty and the Warring States period. However, the emperors of the Qing Dynasty were good at horseback archery, and the thumb ring was an indispensable tool for archery. When archery, the thumb ring was worn on the hand, and when archery was used, the bowstring was inserted into the deep groove on the back of the thumb ring to prevent the thumb from being hurt. Therefore, the thumb ring was popular among the emperors of the Qing Dynasty, especially the Qianlong Emperor. Therefore, the thumb ring was very popular in the Qing Dynasty. Today, the function of the thumb ring had been weakened, and it was more of an ornament. However, the thumb ring was still a symbol of power. Some big bosses always like to wear a thumb ring on their hand to show their wealth. And the person who wins the bid will get a hug from model Xiao Yan. At last, the host said loudly. "Ah." Chen Mengyan was stunned. She didn't expect that the host would add such a thing at the last minute. During the rehearsal, there was no such thing. In fact, Almost all the models who participated in this kind of activity were mentally prepared. This kind of social activity was very normal, and no one would feel that there was anything wrong with it, so the host didn't inform them in advance. Most of the hugs and kisses were spontaneously initiated, and it was difficult to arrange in advance. Oh! The people under the stage immediately boiled up. They were used to seeing those vulgar women. When they saw such a pure and lovely person like Chen Mengyan, some of them were already rubbing their hands together. They were determined to get her. The starting price of this jade thumb ring is 500,000 yuan. The host was very satisfied with the situation in the field. He also raised the starting price at the last minute. The original starting price of 200,000 yuan was instantly raised to 500,000 yuan by him. However, this did not dampen the enthusiasm of the people below the stage. As soon as the host announced the starting price, someone below the stage bid 600,000. The one who raised the sign was a fatty with a greasy head and a powdered face. He was dressed in a suit and leather shoes and looked rather stylish. However, the lecherous look in his eyes made Yang Ming particularly disgusted. Motherfucker, who are you to look at my girlfriend? Yang Ming thought angrily, but the person he hated the most was the host. Looking at Chen Mengyan's expression, it was obvious that she didn't know what was going on. The host must have added a hug at the last minute to liven up the atmosphere. Yang Ming weighed the flying needle in his hand and silently glanced at the host on the stage. It's not that I'm too cruel, it's just that you're not a good person, Yang Ming silently mourned in his heart. 700,000. Another man below the stage called out his price. 800,000. The previous fatty was not willing to be outdone and added 100,000 yuan. However, the previous war was a small matter. Everyone understood that the real buyer was at the back. Those who didn't speak were likely to be the final winners. Sure enough, when the price rose to 1 million, a man wearing gold-rimmed glasses sitting in the VIP seat below the stage spoke, 2 million. Wow! There was an uproar under the stage. This person actually added 1 million at once. He was really rich and overbearing. 3 million. At this time, another voice sounded. It was also a person in the VIP seat, but it was a young man in his 20s. He was considered handsome, but his taste was good. He was dressed in casual clothes, which made him look particularly bright. At first glance, one could tell that he was a rich young master. The young master glanced at the man wearing gold-rimmed glasses proudly and made a gentlemanly smile at Chen Mengyan on the stage. However, how could Chen Mengyan be in the mood to look at the young master under the stage? Chen Mengyan was very anxious. She wanted to directly leave the stage several times, but she was afraid that she would ruin the order and atmosphere of the auction. Chen Mengyan regretted it very much. She originally wanted to be a model for fun, but she didn't expect that now it would become a dilemma. Let Chen Mengyan hug a strange man? It would be better to let her die. Chen Mengyan would never do that. She hoped that no one would buy this thumb ring, but the bidding under the stage was getting more and more intense. 5 million. The man wearing gold-rimmed glasses didn't show any weakness. He calmly called out his price. Young Master Yang's face changed. He frowned and said, 6 million. It was obviously not worth it to spend so much money for a hug. Young Master Yang thought that it was worth it if he could exchange it for a night with a beauty. A rich young master like himself should be the object of these models' attention, right? Thinking of that, young Master Yang calmed down a little. When young Master Yang called out the price of 6 million, everyone in the auction hall sighed. No matter how expensive and valuable this jade thumb ring was, it was impossible for it to be worth 6 million yuan. Obviously, young Master Yang Guang's ultimate goal was not this jade thumb ring, but Chen Mengyan's hug. The man wearing gold-rimmed glasses didn't expect that young Master Yang could call out such a high price. He was stunned, and began to calculate his gains and losses. Obviously, it was a waste of money to spend several million yuan on a jade thumb ring. However, the jade thumb ring was just an accessory. They were actually competing for Chen Mengyan's hug. Everyone in the auction hall knew that they had ulterior motives. However, only the real rich people could call out such a high price. The previous small bosses could only sigh. Who would spend half of their wealth to buy a hug? Therefore, only young Master Yang and the man wearing gold-rimmed glasses were competing for the jade thumb ring. 6,050,000. The man wearing gold-rimmed glasses clenched his teeth and called out a price that he could barely accept. 6 million yuan was basically the limit that he could accept. If he spent more money, his brothers would use it as an excuse to attack him in front of his father. Therefore, he didn't dare to raise the price anymore. Although he had earned a lot of money from the company, he couldn't let his brothers know about it. Once the fact that he earned money was exposed, he couldn't keep his position in front of his father, and his right to inherit the company would be uncertain. 6 million yuan was the bonus from last year. It was the money that he deserved. Therefore, no matter what he did, no one would say anything about it. On the other side, the price that young Master Yang called out was also his limit. The Sunshine Tycoon only brought 10 million yuan of pocket money to attend the jewelry exhibition, of which 2 million yuan was already squandered by him before the jewelry exhibition started. After deducting the expenses such as the hotel and meals, the remaining money was only 7 million yuan. He couldn't spend all this money on this jade thumb ring. If he did, even if Chen Mengyan liked him in the end, he wouldn't have the money to spend with the beauty. Therefore, the Sunshine Tycoon had to leave some money in his pocket. However, since he had already spent 6 million yuan, he was determined to win. They were already at the last moment, so how could he be at a disadvantage? 6,100,000 yuan. Young Master Yang bid 50,000 yuan more than the man wearing gold-rimmed glasses. 6,100,000 yuan. Is there anyone who wants to bid higher than that? The host was very experienced. He naturally knew that the price had basically reached the limit. Even if he increased the price, there was no room for him to increase it. 6,100,000 yuan. The man wearing gold-rimmed glasses was obviously unwilling. He added another 10,000 yuan. 6,100,000 yuan. Young Master Yang added another 10,000 yuan. 6,130,000 yuan. The man wearing gold-rimmed glasses said. 6,140,000 yuan. Young Master Yang said. 6,150,000. The man wearing gold-rimmed glasses said. So, both of them increased the price by 10,000 yuan. Finally, it reached 6,200,000 yuan. The man wearing gold-rimmed glasses obviously didn't have any pride. He still increased the price by 11,000 yuan. 6,200,000 yuan. 6,200,000 yuan. Unexpectedly, young Master Yang couldn't take it anymore. At this moment, he was also pretending to be rich. Yang Ming looked at the bidding between the two and suddenly felt a little funny. You want to buy a hug from Chen Mengyan with 6 million yuan? What are you thinking? While Chen Mengyan was anxious, Lin Jiyun was also a little panicked. She wanted to call Yang Ming, but when she touched her pocket, she remembered that when she accompanied Chen Mengyan to change clothes, she was afraid that the phone would ring and affect the auction. So, she put her phone in the closet. Brother Yang, what should we do? Bao Sanli was responsible for the security of the auction. When he saw Chen Mengyan on the stage, he was also stunned. As he was thinking about countermeasures, he saw Yang Ming. Let's wait and see. Yang Ming shrugged his shoulders calmly. You scared me just now. When Bao Sanli heard Yang Ming's words, he knew that he had a countermeasure. He suddenly felt relieved. Originally, Bao Sanli thought that if anyone dared to touch Chen Mengyan, he would kick him to death. 10 million. Yang Ming saw that the gold-rimmed glasses man and the Sunshine Tycoon were almost done competing, so he faintly reported a price. In fact, in Yang Ming's eyes, Chen Mengyan was priceless. 10 million yuan couldn't buy anything for Chen Mengyan. However, Yang Ming now had to use money to buy a hug from Chen Mengyan. Yang Ming didn't use a price of 100 million or 1 billion to scare people. It was enough to overwhelm the two competitors with an absolute advantage. Moreover, this money had to be given to the Jewelry Association as a commission. He couldn't get back how much he paid, so Yang Ming didn't need to let the Jewelry Association take advantage of him. 10 million. The host's hand trembled. The reason why he worked so hard to stir up the atmosphere was that every time a product was auctioned, he would get a 5,000th commission. 10 million was a 50,000th commission. How could he not be excited? 10 million. Is there anyone who can go higher than 10 million? The host shouted. Obviously, whether it was the gold-rimmed glasses man, the Sunshine Tycoon, or everyone present, they didn't expect that there would be someone who came out halfway at the last moment. Everyone thought that the final winner would be between the gold-rimmed glasses man and the Sunshine Tycoon, but they didn't expect Yang Ming to suddenly rush out with an absolute advantage. Hearing this familiar voice, Chen Mengyan's heart was simply overjoyed. Just when she really didn't know what to do in a while, Yang Ming appeared. Yang Ming was already on the stage, but Chen Mengyan, who was standing on the stage, was flustered. She didn't look at the people below the stage, and she didn't have the mood to look at the people below the stage, so she didn't notice Yang Ming's existence. The gold-rimmed glasses man and the Sunshine Tycoon didn't have the courage to bid higher than 10 million. If Yang Ming had bid 7 million, the two of them might have bid 10 or 20,000 more to compete. However, now that Yang Ming's bid was 10 million, they didn't have the courage to compete at all. 10 million going once. 10 million going twice. 10 million going thrice. The auctioneer raised the small hammer in his hand and asked. Sold for 10 million. The auctioneer raised the small hammer in his hand and knocked it down. Bang! The hammer closed the deal. Congratulations to this, Mr. for winning this jade thumb ring. The auctioneer didn't know how to address Yang Ming. Because Yang Ming wasn't there before, he was added later, so the auctioneer didn't specifically check Yang Ming's information. Naturally, he didn't know what Yang Ming's name was. This Mr. will receive a warm hug from Miss Xiao Yan. Wait a minute. The gold-rimmed glasses man was obviously dissatisfied. Where did this person come from? Is he qualified to participate in the auction? He's standing there, he's not sitting at the auction table. The auctioneer was thinking about the commission just now, so he didn't think about Yang Ming's identity. Now that he heard the gold-rimmed glasses man's words, it made sense. If Yang Ming wasn't a customer who participated in the auction, but a tourist who came to visit, then it was doubtful that he had the ability to take out 10 million. Yeah, where did this person come from? Is he qualified to participate in the auction? The Sunshine Tycoon was also a loser, so he didn't care about the past and joined the gold-rimmed glasses man against a common enemy. Who said I'm not qualified? Yang Ming pulled on his windbreaker arrogantly. Then, he took out a seat number in the auction area from his pocket. He waved it and threw it on an empty seat in the VIP seats. Yang Ming was responsible for the overall planning of the auction, so naturally, he would use different identities to investigate openly and secretly, so it was normal for him to have a seat number in the auction area. Seeing the seat number that Yang Ming threw out, the gold-rimmed glasses man and the Sunshine Tycoon closed their mouths resentfully. You have a seat number, why don't you sit down? The Sunshine Tycoon muttered unhappily. Who made the rule that the auction must be seated? Yang Ming looked at the Sunshine Tycoon with disdain. The Sunshine Tycoon was suddenly speechless. Indeed, no one made the rule that the auction must be seated. If people were willing to stand, it was their personal habit. He couldn't control it. The host quickly checked the identity of Yang Ming according to his seat number, so he said with a smile, Welcome Mr. Yang to the stage. Accept a hug from Miss Xiao Yan. Yang Ming walked to the stage very elegantly, looked at Chen Mengyan with a smile, and said softly, Come on, Sister Xiao Yan, Give me a hug. Chen Mengyan blushed and said softly, "You're so annoying." However, she was very obedient and hugged Yang Ming. Yang Ming laughed and said, "Are you going to get a room tonight?" "Go to hell." Chen Mengyan scolded in a low voice, "You have a home, why would you want to get a room?" It turns out that she likes to do it at home. "Ha," Yang Ming thought lasciviously in his heart, "but I like it, a kindred spirit." The people under the stage naturally couldn't hear what Yang Ming said on the stage. They thought that he was going to ask a beauty out like Boss Wang before. Most people had the mentality of watching the fun, so they weren't jealous of Yang Ming. Only the Sunshine Tycoon and the gold-rimmed glasses man were a little unwilling, but he paid more than them. What could they do? Yang Ming patted Chen Mengyan, then let go of his hand and got off the stage. Chen Mengyan also retreated to the backstage. She still had a lingering fear, but her heart was full of sweetness. Yang Ming always appeared when she needed him the most. This made Chen Mengyan very happy. Although a small crisis was solved safely, Yang Ming already hated the host in his heart. Even if you want to joke, you can't do it like this, right? What if I didn't arrive in time? Wouldn't Chen Mengyan be hugged by someone else? How could a person like Yang Ming, who had a serious male chauvinist tendency, allow such a thing to happen? Therefore, Yang Ming aimed all his anger at the host. Yang Ming sneered faintly. His right hand moved slightly, and a special flying needle fell into his hand. Yang Ming looked at the host who was still introducing another jewelry on the stage. His right hand shook, and the flying needle shot out. Yang Ming's skill in throwing hidden weapons was first class. He was even better than Fang Tian. The flying needle was very thin. It wouldn't cause too much pain when it was inserted into a person's body. It was either a fatal blow or a slow effect. Yang Ming didn't want to kill people at the jewelry exhibition. After all, the Ming Yang Security Company was now in charge of the security work here. Yang Ming didn't want to ruin his own reputation. Therefore, Yang Ming aimed the flying needle at the host's sciatic nerve. Looking at the flying needle completely inserted into the host's sciatic nerve, and then slowly melted into the host's blood, Yang Ming smiled faintly. Next, the jewelry to be auctioned is a diamond ring displayed by Tian Tian's Dream Company. Let's welcome the model, Tian Tian. The host continued to explain with great effort. The host made an inviting gesture and then walked to the side to make room for the model. However, when the host lifted his leg, he almost fell. He didn't care at first. He thought that he was careless. However, after taking another step, the host found that something was wrong with his right leg. Why am I lame? Chapter 1081. What's wrong with my leg? The host tried to move his right leg, but found that his right leg didn't seem to listen to him. No matter how hard he tried to keep his balance, he couldn't keep his two legs in sync. The more anxious he was, the more unstable the host became. His body trembled, and he fell onto the stage, making a loud bang sound. Ha 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 ha. There was a burst of laughter under the stage. Everyone didn't feel anything. They thought that this was just a program, a joke interspersed in the auction. Ah, my leg. Who helps me? I can't stand up. The host's scream made the originally lively auction hall suddenly quiet. People all looked at the host with different eyes. What happened? Several security guards who maintained the order of the scene rushed over under Bao Sonli's instructions. They helped the host up from both sides. How did you fall? I don't know. My leg suddenly didn't work. It didn't listen to the command. The host said with a bitter face. Obviously, he didn't realize how serious the matter was. He thought that because he stood for a long time, his legs were temporarily paralyzed. Then, should we help you to rest first? Asked the security guard. Okay, help me to sit down for a while, said the host. Generally speaking, as long as the sciatic nerve was not injured, there would not be any problems. The host had been standing on the stage all this time. He did not receive any injections or fall, so the chances of the sciatic nerve being damaged were very small. Therefore, he did not think that way. Bao Somli didn't know why the host suddenly fell, and his leg was damaged, but he vaguely guessed that it was Yang Ming's doing. He was clear about Yang Ming's ability. Although he didn't see how Yang Ming did it, with Yang Ming's ruthless means, it was already light for him to become disabled. Since he didn't know, Bao Somli didn't ask much. After all, Yang Ming would tell him what he should know. If he shouldn't know, it would be useless for him to ask. There wasn't only one host. After the China Jewelry Association learned about the situation here, they sent another host to take over the previous host's job. The previous host sat below the stage without a care in the world. He watched the auction go on leisurely, calculating how much commission he would get. He didn't worry about his leg at all. He didn't know that he would become a cripple for the rest of his life. The first day of the exhibition ended like this. Except for the host who, inexplicably, became a cripple and was picked up by the hospital's ambulance, nothing special happened. Although the man in the gray woolen suit before walked around the exhibition area all day, and his whereabouts were suspicious, he didn't take any action. After the exhibition was closed, he left the venue with the other guests, which made Li Chang's nervous mood. Brother Yang, that person didn't do any improper actions. After the exhibition was closed, he left the venue obediently. Li Chang reported to Yang Ming. Yang Ming nodded. A suspicious person might not be suspicious. Maybe he just enjoyed it because of his love for a certain piece of art. He pretended to wander back and forth in the exhibition area, probably to not let the security guards notice him. Who knew that in this way, he was even more suspicious? However, there were two sides to everything. Although Yang Ming thought so, he couldn't rule out his suspicion. Let's see if he will appear tomorrow. Pay close attention to this person's movements. Don't take it lightly. Li Chang nodded and said solemnly, "Don't worry, Brother Yang. I understand." In the evening, the entire exhibition area was completely sealed off. Infrared monitoring and various advanced anti-theft systems were running at the same time. Even so, Yang Ming and others did not dare to relax their vigilance. Although all the people in the exhibition hall were evacuated at night, and the entire venue was tightly sealed, this did not mean that they could sit back and relax. Someone could pry open the vault of the bank, let alone the temporary exhibition hall here. However, it didn't matter to the exhibition area and the auction area. Many manufacturers had their own safes, and the value of each exhibitor's safes was not very high. At most, it was a few $100,000 worth of goods. It was not worth it. It was quite laborious to open a safe, let alone so many safes. Obviously, even if someone started, they would not aim at these safes. In the auction area, the auction jewelry had been auctioned today, and they were all in the hands of the buyers. The jewelry to be auctioned tomorrow had not been delivered yet. It would be delivered early in the morning of the next day by the jewelry stores that participated in the auction, so there was no need to worry about any problems. Yang Ming deployed most of his manpower near the exhibition area, leaving only some regular personnel to guard the exhibition area. Even if there was an accident, it would be a small amount of money. The Ming Yang Security Company would not bear too much loss. At night, it was quiet, but everyone was full of spirit. They did not dare to slack off. The people of the Ming Yang Security Company received such a task for the first time. Because of their lack of experience, they were a little nervous. However, the people brought by Li Chang were well trained. They shuttled through the darkness and reported each other's situation with walkie-talkies. With these examples, the people of the Ming Yang Security Company slowly settled down and joined the tense security work. At this moment, Yang Ming was sitting in an RV not far from the exhibition area, observing the movements of the entire exhibition hall. The exhibition hall was transparent in Yang Ming's eyes. Yang Ming could easily see every corner of the exhibition hall. Although Yang Ming alone could completely see the situation, Ong Ming did not ask Li Chang to remove the people. This was also a training for them. No matter how powerful Yang Ming was, he was also a person. What he wanted was a strong armed force. Only in this way could the Black Butterfly Assassin Group be quickly known to the world. Sitting next to Yang Ming was Lu Xinyang, the military advisor of the Black Butterfly Assassin Group. This was also Yang Ming bringing him out to gain experience. Lu Xinyang was a resourceful person, but he had not experienced many big scenes. What do you think? Yang Ming asked Lu Xinyang faintly, if you were a robber, what would you do? Lu Xinyang hesitated and did not dare to speak. After all, the person sitting in front of him was their big boss, a godlike figure. Yang Ming's skill was unfathomable. It often seemed very rogue and ordinary, like the moves of street gangsters. When Yang Ming used it, it was extremely powerful, enough to kill people in one move. Why? Do you have any scruples? Yang Ming frowned and asked. No. Lu Xinyang shook his head and said, I'm afraid that I can't say it well and mislead your thoughts. It's fine. I'm just making a reference. You can talk about it. Yang Ming waved his hand. Lu Xinyang was better at using schemes. This was what Yang Ming lacked. To put it bluntly, Yang Ming was too soft-hearted. Today's incident with Chen Mengyan, if it happened to another assassin, probably the host and the two bidders would have died at this moment. Yang Ming only slightly punished the host and paralyzed him. As for the two bidders, Yang Ming felt that there was no need to vent his anger on them, so he let them go. Lu Xinyang hesitated and said, now it seems that the security work of the entire exhibition is quite tight. If the other party is a person who knows the goods, they should be able to see the difference between our Black Butterfly and Ming Yang security. They should not act rashly. If the other party can't even see this, then such an opponent is not worth us mobilizing so many people. We can just deal with it casually. Yang Ming listened to Lu Xinyang's analysis and nodded. Then, he said, go on. If it were me, it would be difficult to steal the jewelry inside under such tight security measures. Therefore, I would use the method of creating a diversion to steal the treasure. Lu Xinyang said concisely. Diversion to the east and attack to the west? Yang Ming suddenly became interested. Although Yang Ming had an intuitive grasp of the overall situation here, if he could understand the entire conspiracy plan of the other party, it would also be a good thing. Yes. It is a diversion to the east and attack to the west. Lu Xinyang nodded and said, only by distracting the security personnel's attention, it is convenient to make a move. That makes sense. Yang Ming listened to Lu Xinyang's analysis and agreed. You mean that the other party will send two groups of people to carry out the robbery or theft, right? This is in theory. According to the literal meaning of diversion to the east and attack to the west, it is like this. However, in practice, there can be 3 or even 4 groups of people. In short, the more people there are, the more chaotic it is, and the harder it is to control. In this way, it is easier to make a move. No matter which group of people succeeds, it can be done, said Lu Xinyang. Yang Ming patted Lu Xinyang's shoulder and said, not bad. You really deserve to be a military advisor. Brother Yang, this is also one of my hobbies. Lu Xinyang showed a shy smile and changed his previous serious expression. Do you have a girlfriend? Yang Ming changed to a relaxed topic and asked with a smile. It was a long night. It was very difficult for 2 men to stay together. Yang Ming naturally had to find some topics to spend time, but while talking, Yang Ming's eyes were locked on the entire exhibition hall, closely observing the movements inside. Yes. Lu Xinyang scratched his head and was a little embarrassed, but he still answered Yang Ming's question truthfully. In my hometown. I called a few days ago, but I didn't tell her about the things here. I only said that I am a security guard in a security company. After this busy period, I will give you a vacation. Let your girlfriends come over and have fun. I will pay for it, said Yang Ming. Really? Lu Xingyang was very happy after listening to Yang Ming's words. He said with some excitement, "That's great. Brother Yang, you are really kind to us. Of course, there will be rewards. This time, we are so nervous. It is normal to relax after this, but the primary goal now is to protect the jewelry well," said Yang Ming. Over there, whether it was the monitoring room or the patrolling security guards, they were all on alert. Although the entire exhibition hall was dark and quiet, it was operating at high speed inside. The darkness before dawn was the scariest. When the sky was slightly turning white, it was also the time when one could not lower one's guard. Everyone understood this principle. The more one thought that everything would be fine after dawn, the easier it was for something to go wrong. Therefore, many people were on full alert. Finally, the streets were bustling with people who were doing morning exercises, going to work, and selling breakfast. A new day had arrived. The exhibition hall also opened. The staff and dealers of the exhibition hall entered under the detection of the security system. Yang Ming breathed a sigh of relief. One day had passed, and there were 6 days left. He hoped that the next day would be like yesterday. However, this was obviously just a beautiful wish. Yang Ming himself knew that this was impossible. Perhaps for various reasons, the opponent did not choose to make a move on the first day. Perhaps they would wait until everyone was exhausted and make a move on the last day. Or, when everyone thought that they would make a move on the last day, they would make a move on the second day. In short, Yang Ming was not the opponent. He couldn't explore the opponent's thoughts. He could only cope with changes by sticking to the status quo. He would do what he should do and do his job in an orderly manner. On this day, like yesterday, customers of the exhibition hall were welcomed in the busy atmosphere. Sure enough, it was not beyond Yang Ming's expectations. The person wearing the gray woolen coat yesterday appeared again today. However, today, he did not wear the clothes from yesterday. He wore a blue down jacket today. If one did not pay special attention to him, it was difficult for people to association that it was the same person from yesterday and today. After Li Chang saw this person, he immediately notified Yang Ming. Yang Ming asked Li Chang to always pay attention to that person, but not completely focus on that person. After all, Yang Ming listened to Lu Xingyang's analysis yesterday and felt that what he said was very reasonable. In the current situation, the possibility of the enemy using a diversion strategy was very high. Therefore, if that person was more suspicious, Yang Ming did not think that he would be the final robber. After all, this person's whereabouts were really suspicious. If he was not discovered, then he would underestimate his own security measures. Moreover, Yang Ming would not think that the other party would be stupid enough to let this person be the final robber. In that case, the other party would be too brainless. Yang Ming, like yesterday, began his routine patrol. During the security check in the morning, Yang Ming took a short nap. Now, he was very energetic. For Yang Ming, a person who had undergone rigorous training for a long time, sleeping for a short while was already enough to solve the problem. The quality of sleep was not dependent on the length of sleep, but the quality of sleep. Yang Ming had mastered a set of Fang Tian's unique sleeping method. As long as he slept for a short while, it was enough to replace others for most of the day. This was also the reason why Fang Tian sang the Straw Hat song in the middle of the night without sleeping. Everything is normal. Yang Ming received the messages from Li Chang and Bao Somli respectively. Everything was going according to the predetermined order. In the calm, there was often danger. Shocking changes were always in an instant without any signs. Suddenly, the alarm in the exhibition hall was loud. The direction of the alarm came from the exhibition area. Yang Ming's heart was shocked, and he quickly went to the exhibition area. Although Yang Ming also knew that this might be the enemy's diversion tactic, Yang Ming had to rush to the exhibition area in the first place. Yang Ming did not dare to slack off. When Yang Ming arrived at the exhibition area, the scene was already controlled by Li Chang's people. Sure enough, the suspicious person in the blue down jacket was escorted in the middle. In front of him, there was a display case that had been smashed and cracked. In front of the display case, there was a digital SLR camera that had been smashed and deformed. The material of the camera was obviously specially processed, and this camera couldn't be called a camera. It should be a piece of lead. It was just processed into the shape of a camera, so it could get through the security check. The alarm was because the display case was cracked, and the automatic alarm was generated. Yang Ming frowned. This person obviously couldn't be the final robber. This method was too reckless, and there was no technical content, right? Using this method to rob jewelry, unless the person's brain was flooded with water, or his brain was abnormal. Otherwise, as long as he used a little brain, he could understand that this was simply an idiot's behavior. It was impossible to succeed. The suspicious person in the blue down jacket had been completely controlled. On his body, except for this special shot-put camera, there were no other dangerous items. What should we do? Li Chang saw Yang Ming coming, so he asked Yang Ming. Send him to the police station. Yang Ming didn't think that this person would know anything. Even if he was in the same group as the opponent, he was just a small character. He would never come into contact with any core matters. Therefore, Yang Ming didn't need to waste time by interrogating anything. The safest way was to hand him directly to the police station. Li Chang nodded. Obviously, he didn't think that this man would know anything. But it was a little strange. Wasn't this man's approach a little too radical? It was a completely failed approach, but he still wanted to do it. What was it for? Brother Yang, what this person is doing doesn't seem to make sense, right? Li Chang asked with some confusion. The man in the blue down jacket had been tied up by Li Chang's men and was ready to be escorted to the police station. It was a diversion. Yang Ming was shocked. He remembered what Lu Xinyang said before, so he immediately instructed Li Chang, tell everyone to enter the first level of alert immediately. Don't be careless. Li Chang was about to say something, but 7 or 8 masked people in sportswear rushed into the exhibition area. However, looking at the hair color, they should be from all over the country. Da-da-da-da. A burst of sound of bullets was heard. One of the burly men, who seemed to be the leader, shouted, "Don't move, squat on the ground with your hands on your head, gun." How did they bring it in? This was Yang Ming's first reaction. Chapter 1082. A series of bullets passed by, and there was a bullet mark on the ceiling of the exhibition hall. Yang Ming suddenly frowned. How is this possible? The security check of the exhibition hall was quite strict. It was impossible for someone to come in with a gun without being detected. Moreover, these people couldn't have barged in because there were people guarding every entrance. Once there was a mistake, there would be an alarm. So in theory, the appearance of these people was illogical. If these people were holding pistols, it was still possible. For example, the lipstick pistol that Yang Ming got from Wang Xiaoyan, some small guns that could be assembled, or disguised as other things to sneak in. However, these people were indeed using submachine guns. This kind of large gun was completely impossible to bring in. However, in the next moment, Yang Ming immediately understood how these people got through the security check. Although these people were holding submachine guns in their hands, the body of the submachine gun was very special. It was made of plexiglass. The bullets were also a very special plastic material. Therefore, it wasn't surprising that such a gun passed through the security check. This kind of gun wouldn't have an obvious reaction under the metal detector, so it was possible to sneak through. Yang Ming had to admire the professionalism of these people. They could get this kind of special gun. Their identity was definitely not simple. Generally speaking, in a country like China, where gun control was extremely strict, it was good to be able to get a pistol, let alone this kind of special, custom-made plexiglass submachine gun. Yang Ming calmly glanced at the faces behind these people's masks, and he couldn't help but be shocked. Bank robbers. That's right, 3 of them were the perpetrators of the bank robbery. These 3 people were in the middle of this group of people. Are they in the same group? Yang Ming suddenly frowned. Yang Ming thought that it was impossible to see these 3 people in the near future. He didn't expect to see them at the jewelry exhibition so soon. Don't move. Squat on the ground and hold your head. If you don't want to die, be obedient. The leader, a burly macho man, spoke in fluent but stiff Chinese. Most of the tourists were scared silly by what they saw. In the past, this kind of scene would only appear in TV shows and movies. Now that it was happening in front of them, they didn't know what to do for a moment. Many people didn't even have the strength to scream. They just stood there stupidly as they watched what was happening in front of them. Bang! Another gunshot rang out, and a tourist who was standing closest to the burly man fell to the ground. His right hand was clutching his chest, and his face was filled with horror. Blood gushed out from his chest and between his fingers. It was a horrifying sight. At this time, the tourists present were shocked by the horrifying scene in front of them. They cried out in alarm. Put your hands on your head and squat on the ground. Otherwise, you'll end up like him. The burly man fiercely raised his submachine gun and aimed at the crowd. Ah! This time, no one dared to disobey him. They all followed the burly man's request and squatted on the ground with their hands on their heads. Yang Ming frowned. These people didn't have the slightest fear and guilt of killing people. Through the burly macho man's mask, he could clearly see his expression. Yang Ming only saw indifference, and there was no other expression. This was the same as what Yang Ming saw during the previous bank robbery. Moreover, the approach of these people was the same. That was, after they came in, they would first shoot to demonstrate, then kill a person as an example to others. Then, they would order everyone to hold their heads and squat on the ground. The Ming Yang Security Company was nominally an enterprise under the police station. Although there were gun tags, there were only a few gun licenses, and only pistols were allowed to be used. Therefore, Yang Ming didn't let Li Chang and the others bring heavy firearms. Although Yang Ming was very popular in Songjiang, and he wasn't afraid of anything with his current special identity, he couldn't be too ostentatious. Although Xia Bingbao's power was great, Yang Ming also understood that Xia Bingbao wasn't omnipotent. It was impossible for him to indulge Yang Ming in everything he did. Everything had a limit. As long as Yang Ming didn't exceed this limit and always maintained a balance, then no one would do anything to him. After all, Xia Bingbao still had a lot of things that needed his help. But other people didn't use guns, but Yang Ming could use them. With Yang Ming's current special identity, it was normal for him to use guns. No one could say anything about it. Smash! The burly macho man waved his hand and ordered the people behind him. At this time, another macho man came from behind with an iron platform in his hand. It should be dismantled from somewhere in the exhibition hall. This kind of thing definitely couldn't pass the security check, but it could be used on the spot. Although the macho man was masked, judging from the exposed hair and wrists, he should be a black man. The black man came to the front of the display cabinet that had been cracked by the man in the blue down jacket and swung the iron platform in his hand over. Quang, there was a loud noise, and the crack became bigger, but the display cabinet was safe and sound. It didn't shatter. The black man once again swung the iron platform in his hand and smashed it on the display cabinet for the second time. Jesse, you go and help. The burly macho man saw that the display cabinet was so difficult to break open, so he ordered another armed man behind him. The man named Jesse was an Asian, but Yang Ming couldn't judge his nationality. He didn't speak, but he picked up another iron platform and walked in the direction of the display cabinet. Li Chang squatted beside Yang Ming and glanced at Yang Ming gently. Yang Ming shook his head slightly and motioned to Li Chang not to act rashly. After all, these guys were fully armed and had destructive weapons in their hands. Before Yang Ming thought of countermeasures, he didn't dare to act rashly. Everything could only depend on waiting for the right opportunity. The violent behavior of these armed men had already frightened some of the children in the exhibition hall. Wah! A sudden and mournful cry rang out. The black man and Jesse paused their work, and the burly macho man's eyes became sharp. He slowly crossed the crowd and finally fell on the crying little girl. It was a little girl less than 10 years old, wearing a small yellow trench coat. She was very cute. However, there was no love in the eyes of the burly macho man, but a kind of indifference to life. Shit. The burly macho man cursed in a foreign language, slowly raised the submachine gun in his hand, and aimed at the little girl. Please, don't, please. A young woman in her 30s suddenly covered the little girl's mouth, not letting her make any more sounds. The child is not sensible, don't shoot, I beg you. The young woman looked at the burly macho man with pleading eyes. A man wearing glasses next to the young woman also stood in front of the young woman and the little girl at this moment, and said very sincerely, don't kill them, kill me if you want to kill. The burly macho man's mouth curved into a disdainful sneer. How annoying. You all have to die. Go to hell together. After saying that, he aimed the gun in his hand at the man. He believed that this series of bullets would not only turn the man into a sieve, but even the young woman and little girl behind him would be turned into minced meat. Whether or not they could hurt the people next to them would be up to fate. Although most of the tourists were full of sympathy for the family of three, they were full of resentment towards the brutality of the gangsters. However, no one dared to stand up for them. At this time, standing up was undoubtedly courting death. In the face of powerful firearms, all reason was void. In front of these people, there was no reason at all. If they could reason, they would not have come to rob. Therefore, when the burly macho man spoke, the crowd around the family of three could not help but lean to the side, making a large space for them. Who wants to die? Sympathy was one thing, but if they couldn't even protect their own life, who would sympathize with others? However, Yang Ming's heart moved. He knew that now was an opportunity. Although this opportunity was not very obvious and somewhat risky, if he missed it, he didn't know if there would be such an opportunity in the future, so Yang Ming didn't dare to take the risk. He didn't want to miss any possibility. Yang Ming no longer had the slightest hesitation. He stood up abruptly and rushed toward the family of three. Yang Ming was gambling. He was gambling that the burly macho man would not shoot immediately. However, even if he shot, Yang Ming was confident that he would not be hurt, but this family of three could not be guaranteed. Yang Ming could only do so much. Yang Ming was not a savior, and he had no obligation to protect everyone's lives. If Yang Ming did not make a move, these three people would definitely die. If Yang Ming made a move, it would only give them a chance to avoid harm or reduce harm. Don't kill them. We are all innocent. If you want to rob the jewelry, then hurry up and rob your jewelry. When the police come, you won't be able to leave. So I hope you don't waste time. Yang Ming stood in front of the family of three and said loudly. Oh. The burly macho man was obviously very surprised and puzzled that Yang Ming could suddenly stand up. He looked at Yang Ming with interest. You? Stand up for them? Aren't you afraid that I will kill you together? I'm not standing up for anyone. I'm just saying a fact. If you waste unnecessary time, it won't be good for anyone. It doesn't make any sense for you to kill them. Yang Ming saw that the burly macho man was willing to talk to him, and he secretly breathed a sigh of relief. As long as he talks to me, then I still have a chance. I'm afraid that if he doesn't talk to me, he will shoot. As you can see, I didn't waste time. My men are still working. I just killed 2 people as a pastime when I have nothing to do. The burly macho man was very curious that Yang Ming could stand up at this time. Aren't you afraid of death? I am afraid. Yang Ming said bluntly, but I don't think you will kill innocent people. Ha! This is the funniest joke I've ever heard. How do you know that I won't kill innocent people? The burly macho man laughed loudly as if he had heard a big joke. It's okay not to kill them. Let's play a game. What game? Yang Ming asked faintly. Well, you use your head to hit this showcase. If the showcase is knocked open, not only will I not kill you, but I will also let them go. How about it? It's fair, right? The burly macho man pointed to a showcase in front of him and said. Hey! There was an uproar in the crowd immediately. Some sympathized with Yang Ming. The request made by the burly macho man was no different from suicide. There were also people who laughed at Yang Ming for being an idiot. There was nothing to do with him, but he insisted on standing up. If this wasn't stupid, then what was? Now, they even wanted to kill him. Let's see what he can do. Which showcase? As Yang Ming spoke, he walked toward the burly macho man. Although Yang Ming was very calm in his heart, he forced a panicked expression on his face. Yang Ming couldn't make himself appear very calm. That would be too fake. The burly macho man would definitely be suspicious. But now, Yang Ming's tone was calm, but his expression was flustered. It was completely in line with the image of a foolish and bold, and it was easy to gain people's trust. Sure enough, the burly macho man didn't have the slightest caution. He didn't think that there would be anything wrong with Yang Ming. Yang Ming's dress was not a security guard or a staff member, but a student's dress. It seemed that he was about 20 years old, so it was impossible for him to be a police officer. Therefore, the burly macho man just regarded Yang Ming as a hot-blooded college student and was ready to tease him. This showcase, you can hit it. If you can hit it open, it will save me a lot of trouble. Haha. The burly macho man seemed to have found a very funny thing and laughed happily. This? Yang Ming looked at the cabinet, and his eyes showed a little, timid expression. Hurry up. Seeing that Yang Ming was timid, the burly macho man had no more fun. He suddenly became impatient. With a caw sound, he pointed the gun in his hand at Yang Ming's head and said, "Do you want to hit it or not? If you don't hit it, I will kill you directly." Yang Ming despised this guy's cruelty in his heart, but his face was still very hesitant. He slowly said, "Okay. I will hit it." When the burly macho man heard Yang Ming's words, there was a smile at the corner of his mouth. The gun in his hand also moved, indicating that Yang Ming could hit it. Yang Ming slowly bent down, lowered his head, and made a hesitant action of hitting the showcase. However, Yang Ming's eyes had been looking behind him with his special ability. Seeing that the burly macho man was looking at him with a funny expression, his spirit was also in a state of extreme relaxation. Yang Ming smiled faintly and suddenly reached out his left hand to grab the barrel of the submachine gun in the burly macho man's hand. At the moment when Yang Ming grabbed the gun, the burly macho man also realized that something was wrong. He subconsciously grasped the submachine gun in his hand and wanted to aim the muzzle at Yang Ming, but he found that he couldn't do it because the barrel was firmly controlled by Yang Ming, so he couldn't change the direction for a while. In the next moment, Yang Ming's right hand pressed on the back of the burly macho man's head. He straightened his body and used the explosive force of his entire abdominal muscles to push the burly macho man's head toward the showcase. With a loud bang, the burly macho man's face hit the showcase. The mask covering his face was stained with blood. Obviously, his nose bone was crushed under the strong impact. At this moment, the burly macho man's hand that was holding the gun was also in a temporary state of weakness. Yang Ming directly grabbed the submachine gun in his hand. Bang, bang. 2 gunshots were heard. Yang Ming quickly killed the black man and Jesse who were busy smashing the showcase. Then, he pointed the muzzle at the burly macho man's forehead and pulled him to turn around to face the remaining 4 robbers. All of this happened in a flash. Yang Ming completed the action of grabbing the gun and killing the burly macho man in an instant, but he couldn't take care of the other 4 robbers behind him. Yang Ming was a man, not a god. He could kill the 2 guys in front of him who were caught off guard, but he couldn't turn around to kill the other 4 robbers. He didn't have so much time, really. So, Yang Ming directly pointed the muzzle at the burly macho man's head, trying to use him as a hostage. When Yang Ming turned around, the other 4 robbers had already raised the guns in their hands and aimed at Yang Ming. "Put down the guns in your hands, or I'll blow up your boss's head." Yang Ming changed his panicked expression from before and said very calmly. He didn't care about the muzzles of the 4 robbers. The 4 robbers didn't listen to Yang Ming's order. The muzzles were still pointing at Yang Ming. "Make them put down the guns." Yang Ming used the muzzle to push the burly macho man and ordered. The burly macho man was knocked into a daze. He didn't expect Yang Ming to attack in an instant and then control him. The most incredible thing was that Yang Ming's strength was amazing. This hit almost killed him. Of course, if Yang Ming wanted to kill him, he would have died just now. Yang Ming didn't want to kill him. Yang Ming wanted to keep him as a hostage, so he couldn't die. If Yang Ming wanted to kill him, there were many ways. At least, he didn't have to take the risk to stand up. When he was in the crowd just now, he could kill him with a flying needle without anyone noticing. However, that wasn't what Yang Ming expected. Yang Ming could kill 1 or 2 people with a flying needle in an instant, but he definitely couldn't kill 3 or 4 people. When the people who were killed by Yang Ming with a flying needle fell down, perhaps the remaining people would vent their anger madly in the crowd. Of course, this included Yang Ming. If they used a machine gun to shoot wildly, the consequences would be unimaginable. Yang Ming didn't practice any sinister voodoo, so it was impossible for him to be invulnerable. If that was the case, then it would be over. Therefore, Yang Ming didn't use the means of assassination, but he used daylight robbery. Even if Yang Ming killed the burly macho man with a flying needle, it wouldn't pose any threat to these robbers. Only by capturing their leader alive would they be afraid to shoot at the rat for fear of breaking the vases. "Put down the gun." The burly macho man helplessly ordered his men. He didn't doubt that Yang Ming could kill him immediately. Judging from Yang Ming's series of actions, this person was definitely not simple. Chapter 1083. Yang Ming naturally did not place all his hopes on this person. Who knew if these people would listen to the words of this burly macho man, or would they try to find an opportunity to kill him? Yang Ming pointed his gun at the burly macho man and slowly moved back. However, only 2 of the 4 macho men in front of him obeyed the orders of the burly macho man. The remaining 2 men still pointed their guns at Yang Ming. What's the matter with the 2 of them? Yang Ming suddenly had a bad premonition in his heart, but he did not show anything on his face. He increased the strength of his hand and asked the burly macho man, "You don't want me to blow up your head with the gun first, right?" "Lex, what are you doing?" The burly macho man's forehead oozed sweat. Yang Ming could kill 2 people very decisively, which meant that Yang Ming certainly did not care about killing 1 more person. "Sorry, we are just assisting in the operation. We are not your men." One of the 2 macho men with guns spoke. He spoke in English, but Yang Ming could understand simple conversations. Yang Ming was also a college student, and he also specially learned English. "You have to listen to my orders." The burly macho man was obviously a little anxious. He did not expect that at this moment, someone would not listen to his orders. "Sorry." Lex shrugged and said, "Our purpose is to get the reward, not to care about your life or death." After that, Lex raised the gun in his hand and quickly pointed it at Yang Ming. He pulled the trigger without hesitation. If it were other people, they would have become a corpse at this moment, but Yang Ming was vigilant from the beginning. After listening to the conversation between the burly macho man and the man named Lex, Yang Ming immediately understood that these 2 people were not in the same group. My guess is right. They only came together temporarily because of interests. Now, it involved each other's interests. These people immediately became two factions. One was the burly macho man's men. They all put down their guns, and the other two people were obviously from another group. Lex was one of them. In order to achieve the ultimate goal, these people would not care about the life or death of the burly macho man. Fortunately, Yang Ming was prepared. At the moment when Lex began to move, he pulled the burly macho man in front of him, and Yang Ming quickly lay down on the ground. Bang! Bang! 2 consecutive gunshots. The burly macho man's eyes widened, and he slowly fell down with grievances. It was Lex and another person who fired the shots. Although their target was Yang Ming, because of Yang Ming, they became the burly macho man. Lex didn't expect Yang Ming to make a decision in a split second, abandoning the burly man and escaping by himself. What if they did not shoot him? I just want to scare Yang Ming and make a fake action. Wouldn't that save the burly man? This was simply gambling with his life. In fact, Yang Ming wasn't gambling, but he was confident in doing so. Yang Ming carefully observed the expressions of the burly macho man and Lex through their masks. After Lex said those words, the burly macho man did show a panicked look on his face, but Lex had an indifferent look. This could explain the problem. They were all masked. Logically, Yang Ming could not see their expressions, so they did not need to fake their expressions. They just did not know that Yang Ming had the special ability of X-ray vision, so they exposed a flaw. It was precisely because of this that Yang Ming was sure that these two people would shoot. Otherwise, Yang Ming would not be so reckless. He would kill the burly macho man before he lay down. However, it was a bit risky. It took time to shoot. When he shot, Lex and the other person could also shoot at him. Although Yang Ming was confident that his action could be faster, it was not very safe after all. But in this way, he killed the burly macho man with Lex's hand. Captain. The other two macho men who put down their guns saw that the burly macho man was killed, and they were anxious. They turned the muzzle directly to Lex and the other macho man who shot. Lex, what do you mean? Lex was shocked. He did not expect that Yang Ming would react that way at that moment. Lex originally expected that when he was about to shoot, Yang Ming would kill the burly macho man, and he would kill Yang Ming. In this way, even if the death of the burly macho man was related to him, there was no direct relationship, and the account could not be put on his head. But now, this was obviously the burly macho man that he shot. This account could not be denied. Thinking of this, Lex suddenly had a headache. At this critical moment, there was internal strife. The people on the two burly macho men's side pointed the muzzle at him. Don't be excited, friend. Listen to me. Lex winked and wanted to aim the gun at Yang Ming on the ground because for him, Yang Ming was a big danger. Put the gun down, or I will blow your head off. The burly macho man ordered coldly. Lex was so angry that he wanted to curse. What time is it? Can't you see that there are foreign enemies in front of you? However, at this moment, Lex could only obediently put down the gun that he wanted to raise because it was a fact that the burly macho man was killed by him. The burly macho man's men were angry, and it was likely that they would do something irrational. The other person on Lex's side was also asked to put down the gun. Yang Ming saw that and was overjoyed. The opportunity that he had been waiting for finally came. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Yang Ming moved his right hand and took out 2 flying needles. While Lex and the burly macho man's men were arguing, Yang Ming quickly shot out the flying needles and shot them on Lex and the other person on Lex's side. Yang Ming did not want to take the lives of Lex and the other person. Although Yang Ming could kill them in an instant, Yang Ming wanted to keep them alive to see if he could ask something from them. Seeing that Lex and his companion actually closed their eyes and were about to fall to the ground dizzily, the 2 men of the burly macho man were somewhat inexplicable. They scolded, "What are you doing? Don't pretend to be dead." Yang Ming laughed in his heart. At this time, you still haven't figured out the situation? There is still a dangerous person underground who hasn't been dealt with yet. Do you think you can sit back and relax? Yang Ming quickly raised the gun in his hand and quickly completed 2 shots. With 2 sounds, the guns in the hands of the 2 men of the burly macho man fell to the ground respectively. Yang Ming's bullets just shot through their hands holding the guns. Yang Ming did not give them a chance. Who knew if they would bear the pain and come up with some tricks? Yang Ming quickly approached the 2 men and gave each of them a karate chop. The 2 men rolled their eyes and fell to the ground without any reaction. Yang Ming took a long sigh of relief and thought that he was lucky. This group of people was actually a temporary combination of 2 factions. One killed the leader of the other faction. It was no wonder that they would suddenly have internal strife. However, even if these people were not from 2 factions, Yang Ming would find a way to defeat these people one by one after holding the burly macho man hostage. It was just that now, it was a bit of a blessing in disguise. The problem was solved so easily. At this moment, I don't know who took the lead, but there was a thunderous applause in the exhibition hall. At such a critical moment, Yang Ming knocked down all the gangsters with his own strength. How could these tourists not be excited? Originally, everyone's heart was depressed. After witnessing the brutality of the gangsters, no one could guarantee that the gangsters would not vent their anger on them. Now that Yang Ming rescued them, how could they not be grateful? Especially the family of 3 from before. The man with glasses led the little girl and knelt in front of Yang Ming directly. They were so grateful that they shed tears. Yang Ming was very indifferent to these empty honors. Otherwise, if Yang Ming wanted to be famous, he would have been famous long ago. He didn't have to wait until now. When Yang Ming killed Ji Shuixing for the first time, he could hype up his heroism in the newspapers, but Yang Ming didn't want to be famous, so he had been very low-key. This time, Yang Ming didn't want to be worshipped like a god. It didn't make any sense. Yang Ming said to Li Cheng faintly, "Call the police. Let the police deal with it." Yang Ming's current identity was different from the past, so there was no need to interrogate these people in advance. With Yang Ming's current identity, it was not difficult to get the police interrogation records. Therefore, Yang Ming would not do repetitive and useless work. Soon, the police arrived at the exhibition hall. The leader was naturally Qin Fei. Although the jewelry exhibition was not an official activity, its influence had already attracted the police's attention. At this moment, such a big thing happened. Naturally, the police would be dispatched in the first place. Yang Ming roughly explained the situation at the time. Qin Fei took the 4 guys on the ground and left. Of course, he also found a few tourists to make a statement. It was not much different from what Yang Ming said, especially the family of 3. They kept thanking Yang Ming and wanted to make a silk banner for Yang Ming. Yang Ming was a little dumbfounded and declined. In order not to affect the normal exhibition, the people of Ming Yang security quickly cleaned up the scene after the police took photos for evidence. For Yang Ming, Qin Fei now admired him. Qin Fei thought that it was absolutely impossible for him to kill the 3 gangsters and then capture the 4 gangsters alive in this situation, but Yang Ming did it. Although Yang Ming was very vague about the process of capturing people, he asked a few tourists. He was also somewhat inexplicable about why Lex and his accomplices suddenly fainted, but Qin Fei did not ask again. Qin Fei knew the identity of Yang Ming. If Xia Bingbao didn't have some skills, it was impossible for Xia Bingbao to pull Yang Ming to their side. This involved some confidential matters, so Qin Fei would not ask casually. Although the jewelry exhibition resumed normal business, the exhibition area still could not hide the faint smell of blood in the air. Yang Ming did not tell Chen Mengyan and Lin Jiyun about what had just happened. Yang Ming did not want them to worry, so when they asked about what had just happened, Yang Ming said jokingly, "I punched the Nanshan nursing home and kicked the Beihai kindergarten." A few Yang Ming flying kicks beat the gangsters to the ground. Everyone worships your husband and calls me a great hero. If Yang Ming said it properly, Chen Mengyan and Lin Jiyun would naturally not doubt it. But now Yang Ming said it in such a joking tone, and it was not reliable at all. Chen Mengyan listened and said, "What nonsense are you talking about? You are not serious at all. I heard that the gangsters were armed with guns, and there were 7 of them. All of them were masked macho men. Can you handle them with just a few flying kicks? Are they all armed with guns?" Yang Ming smiled after listening. He did not deny or confirm. "Are you there or not?" Chen Mengyan was a little dumbfounded. "Listening to your tone, you don't seem to be there at all. Sister Lin and I have been worried about you for a long time." "Huh, is it?" Yang Ming scratched his head and laughed twice. "Who cares? Let's not talk about this." Chen Mengyan and Lin Jiyun saw Yang Ming's appearance at the moment, and they really thought that he was talking nonsense. He was not there at all, so they were relieved. In the afternoon, the entire exhibition hall seemed to be very peaceful. The security measures at the entrance had also become stricter. From the original metal detector to scanning the passing tourists, they had to take off their coats and jackets for a detailed inspection. Moreover, the people who were checking were replaced by the original Ming Yang security staff with the police. Although it was a civilian activity, since something had happened, Chen Fei naturally made a report and sent a few police officers to be responsible for the security during the exhibition. The Ming Yang security company did not have the power to search, so it was more justifiable for the police to be responsible for the security check. However, there were no more suspicious people appearing at the fair, and even the number of tourists was much fewer than in the morning. Probably because of the previous robbery incident, it caused many people psychological fear. They did not dare to stay in the exhibition and left. The results of the police investigation came out quickly. 2 of the 4 captured kidnappers were African international, one was Vietnamese, and the other was Italian. Lex, who was an Italian national, was an international wanted criminal. The other 3 were not good people, and they were also on the Interpol record. Chen Fei then directly contacted the Interpol. The 4 people were not stubborn. After arriving at the police station, they quickly confessed everything they knew. The 2 subordinates of the burly man belonged to an African mercenary group called SB, while Lex and his companions joined temporarily, arranged by the leader of the group. As for Lex and his companions, the people of the SB mercenary group didn't know much about them, they just worked together to complete the mission. The task they had to perform was completely arranged by the higher-ups. For them, they did not know who the client was, and they did not know who they were working for. Moreover, the previous bank robbery was also done by them. However, Chen Fei got an important clue. That was, as Yang Ming guessed, these people were also honest. They did not rob the bank for money, but they were completely carrying out the orders of the employer. As for the money obtained from the robbery, they did not care about it at all. If this task was completed, their reward was at least hundreds of millions of US dollars. Therefore, according to the employer's request, after carrying out the bank robbery, they casually threw the money on the road. They were also honest about leaving the mark of the organization. It was the employer who asked them to do so, and they did not feel that there was anything wrong with exposing the organization because their organization was far away in North Africa. There were wars all year round. They lived in various temporary small countries. Even if their headquarters were known, others could not do anything to them. Yang Ming had to smile bitterly after listening to the results of Chen Fei's interrogation. Fortunately, Yang Ming had expected this result, and he did not seem to be disappointed. After all, Yang Ming had already expected that with the professional level of these people, it was impossible for them to just rob. They should be hired by someone, and Lex also said that their purpose was to get money. However, this made Yang Ming a little surprised. The other party could actually hire professional mercenaries to deal with him, which showed that their strength was really strong enough. One thing was also certain. The guys behind these people and the guys who attacked Sun Jia at the Nightless Club could not be a group. If the people who attacked Sun Jia at the Nightless Club that day were these people, then they were likely to have succeeded. Thinking of this, Yang Ming was a little shocked. Those people and today's people were really different, so Yang Ming directly denied the connection between the two. However, the bank robbery that these people had confessed gave Yang Ming some inspiration. These things formed an incomplete process in Yang Ming's mind, but Yang Ming could not find the key to the matter. After all, Yang Ming was not a professional conspirator. It was already very good that he could think of this. What do you think? Yang Ming told Lu Xinyang the whole thing. For Lu Xinyang, Yang Ming did not need to hide anything. Yang Ming would rely on this think tank to work for him in the future, so he had to give him enough trust. According to the current development of things, their previous bank robbery had a purpose. You also said and confirmed that their purpose of robbing the bank was not for money, but according to the employer's request. Lu Xinyang said, then why did the employer ask for this? And let them leave their own mark. My speculation is this: the people behind the scenes want to create an illusion of continuous robbery. That is to say, if today's robbery is successful, then I think they will also leave their own mark. In this way, it shows that they are committing continuous crimes. Last time, they robbed the bank. This time, they robbed the jewelry exhibition. Their behavior was random, and they didn't come specifically for the jewelry exhibition. Yang Ming was shocked after listening to Lu Xinyang's words. That's right. I felt that something was wrong before. It turned out that this was the place where something was wrong. When Yang Ming thought of this, he wanted to call Chen Fei immediately and ask what these people would do if they succeeded. You're tuning in to the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.